This episode of Vision Pros is sponsored by Agenda 19. Learn more at www.agenda.com. Welcome to Vision Pros, the show all about spatial computing, visionOS, and getting work done on the Apple Vision Pro. I'm Tim Chaten, host of the show.
I gotta say, just the initial version of spatial personas, I was blown away how well it tracks like minute facial expressions and your hands and arms move. I was blown away. It was incredible. So if they're making it even better, that's fantastic, because I was not expecting to be as impressed with it as I was.
Welcome to another episode of Vision Pros. This is the WWDC 2024 blowout episode. Join me to discuss all the things announced at WWDC 2024, including visionOS 2, is Matt Birchler. Matt is an Apple Vision Pro owner and user, and hopefully with visionOS 2, he'll be getting even more into visionOS, as I'm sure we'll be talking about that he, up until now, has not been a huge user of the platform, but maybe that'll change with visionOS 2. We'll be talking about his use of the Apple Vision Pro so far, and of course, all the announcements that Apple shared at WWDC 2024. Matt, you can find over at birchtree.me, and has joined me on past episodes of iPad Pros, but this is his first time on Vision Pros. Matt also launched a new podcast recently, Comfort Zone, which you can find over at Mac Stories. He also runs an awesome YouTube channel, A Better Computer, and it's currently on a little summer hiatus, but make sure to check out all of his past videos, as there are a ton of great ones from his last season of content, season of videos. If you want to support this podcast, the best thing to do is go out and download Agenda. Agenda 19 is now out and available for all of Apple's platforms, including the Apple Vision Pro from an awesome iPad app. And I'll be sharing a bit later on in this episode how I use Agenda in my Apple Vision Pro, plus a couple of the things I love about Agenda 19. Learn more at www.agenda.com. And my thanks again to Agenda for sponsoring this episode of Vision Pros. If you want to get early access to both iPad Pros and Vision Pros, you can either subscribe to the Patreon at visionpros.fm/Patreon or subscribe in Apple Podcasts. My great thanks to everyone that subscribes to either the Patreon or in Apple Podcasts. With that, here's my discussion with Matt all about WWDC 2024. Welcome to the podcast, Matt, for the first time. Welcome to Vision Pros.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. So you've been on iPad Pros many times to dissect all of the Apple events and whatnot, but scheduling-wise, it is Vision Pros week. So we are here on Vision Pros, and you are an Apple Vision Pro owner. I kind of encouraged you along that path a little bit, I think.
You did. As is so often the case, I have you to blame for my extraneous Apple purchases.
Yeah, this was an expensive one, I must say.
Yeah, this was the big one.
and I guess we should just share a bit. Your Apple Vision Pro usage up until now is not a bunch, mainly for comfort reasons. Is that one of the main things? Or
Yeah. I don't know how much we want to get into my overall experience, but yeah, for me, the Vision Pro is currently mostly a movies on the weekend sort of thing.
Yep.
So I love watching movies. I like watching movies on the Vision Pro. I think it's really, really good for that. But that's the big thing that I find useful for it. And I think, yeah, like you said, the big thing for me is I don't find it particularly comfortable wearing the headset, even if I got like the most beautiful straps in the world and like it was totally comfortable on my head. I still like the weight, and like I'm often like drinking and eating while I watch things and do things with my computer, and so just having the weight on my head isn't ideal. So for a lot of things, I'm still using my Mac and my iPad for computery stuff. So I'm hoping to see more. We can talk about kind of what they delivered today. But yeah, I'd say I'm a pretty light Vision Pro user at the moment, but optimistic enough to spend like $3,500 on it. So
investing in the future. And you have not invested in any kind of crazy top straps to try to like help with the weight thing?
I have not. No. Okay. I know there's lots of them. I know you've played around with a couple of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't yet.
So that is the number one thing for comfort, I think. And even like the cheap like $20 thing that was just like Velcroing over the speaker pods did enormous as far as comfort.
Okay.
So I don't know. That is something I would encourage you to investigate for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I would say overall I'm optimistic about the Vision Pro long term, and I'm just hoping they win me over for all the things that I could do on it. I just don't choose to do on it every single day.
Am I accurate in saying the Mac Virtual Display is kind of a non-starter because your work machine does not have your Apple ID, so you can't even connect to them? Is that accurate?
Yeah. So during my day job, I'm working on a different Mac that's logged into a different Apple ID, and so I can't use it for virtual display throughout the whole day. So even if I wanted to, even if I loved that feature so much that I wanted to use it all day long, it's just personally not useful for my main use case for using a Mac, unfortunately.
Yeah, which I must say, the virtual display, I can use it now. That is a glorious kind of feature. As we'll talk about in a bit, cool. It's getting better.
Yes.
So, yeah, any other general Apple Vision Pro thoughts before we dive into the keynote at large?
I would say the one big thing that I think would really make the Vision Pro better for me is some sort of physical controller that we could use with it.
For gaming.
Whether they be for gaming, for just general pointing around and doing things. I think that's the one thing that I really love about the Quest 3 that it has that the Vision Pro doesn't have. Like just being able to have a precision pointing device. I mean, I feel like this is the conversation we have all the time.
Yes.
Oh, iPads are great, but you don't have a precision pointing device like a mouse cursor. And then, we add a mouse cursor and suddenly the iPad is even better than it was before.
Yeah.
So I think the Vision Pro, it's cool being able to like look at things and pinch and all that stuff, but having a way to like point at things, having something with haptic feedback in your hands, like an Apple Pencil can do now as well. Like, I think that's the big thing that I'm looking for hardware-wise from them. And we didn't see anything about that today, but I think that's the thing that would really kind of move the needle for things like gaming as well. Suddenly a lot of games become more possible once you have physical controllers. So that's the big thing I'm hoping to see from them. Obviously not a WWDC thing, but that's kind of the thing I'm looking for personally that isn't just an obvious make it faster, make the cameras better, add all these software features, controllers.
For sure. And they really need them for true VR games. Like, that's just a thing. Like, these spatial games are cool, but they're not the same as, like, PSVR 2 is where I go to games still, because that's the better setup for that.
Yeah, for sure. So I think they'll get there. I think they will, but my current pet peeve or pet project that I want them to be working on.
Yeah, I can't even hook up like a racing rig to the Apple Vision Pro like that because you don't have any USB inputs or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Racing games in VR are pretty rad.
They are. That is the go-to. Like, you want to see something cool? That's like, yeah. So, WWDC 2024, it kicked off with, I was laughing during this plane thing. I thought this was great. Them parachuting down. And
they're full like Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Levels of production at this point.
It was so kind of them to include tvOS as one of the parachutes,
And they covered it this year.
They did.
Incredible. Sometimes they just skim right over it.
They do. So that was cool. So, kicked off with Apple TV Plus promo, and they circled back to that later with the tvOS stuff. But they kicked off the keynote with the most important of their platforms, as we all know, the biggest install base of all their platforms, visionOS. So 2.0 is here, and, the last 2.0 update was with the watchOS. And that was a huge update because we got native apps for the watch. As you remember, they launched with these, like, we're going to beam a view from your iPhone to your watch as the developer store.
Yeah.
And that was horrible because back then, a lot of apps just like, we're just not going to make a native app and just discontinue this right away. So they had a lot of work to do with the watch. Vision Pro, Apple Vision Pro, visionOS 2, I'd say less substantial, but a lot of nice little things were announced. We're now up to 2,000 native apps, which is cool. We are seeing some more trickle in every day, slowly but surely. Mm-hmm. The first feature update, though, was with the Photos app, and this is a really cool thing. It was interesting. The first half of the keynote before Apple Intelligence, everything was a machine learning feature. So this is a machine learning feature, not an AI feature. They're continuing on with both feature sets. It appears that we're going to have some machine learning and some AI. I don't know if that'll change next year and everything will just be Apple Intelligence, maybe. But yeah, every photo you take, it appears, as long as there, I guess maybe good light might be a requirement, but it seemed like every photo, but maybe it's only the ones with proper lighting, can turn into a spatial photo within visionOS. And this is awesome because I've been going out of my way to use spatially this iPhone app to capture spatial photos from the iPhone. But now I can just, let me use every photo. I can continue to get live photos, and this is great, I think.
Yeah. This was, I think, of all the things they showed with visionOS, the any photo can be a spatial photo thing was probably the coolest thing, because it takes it away from a gimmick and like a challenging thing. Like you can put the headset on and you can take a photo and that's a spatial photo. Yeah. And like you said, there's a third-party app, or maybe there's more now, that let you take spatial photos. But your Apple camera app, which most people use, does not do that. Or if you use a fancy camera and like take your own photos with a Canon or Sony or whatever, those aren't spatial photos. And this makes it so that they are. And like, you don't have to think about it. If you're using the Vision Pro, you can look at these photos and they're going to look nicer. They're going to look more native to what spatial computing kind of promises. And so that was really cool to me, is that you can still get like the high quality photos you're used to today, but you can look at them in a different way in the Vision Pro. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And the Vision Pro camera itself, not the best for photos. I've done a couple of them. Like,
no,
they're just like low light. It's not HDR and stuff. Yeah. So this will be, I'm super excited to try this out. I'm debating, as we'll talk about with all these betas, to install or not, to wait for the public beta or not. I think this may be a public beta one versus a dev beta, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, everyone with a Vision Pro is an early adopter, so whatever,
Are you in for the developer beta of this one?
Yeah.
Dave,
the moment we get off this podcast, I hope it's available so I can download it.
Okay.
I'm eager to try it out.
Yeah, I am eager as well. I don't have a developer strap, so I guess downgrading is impossible without that.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Okay. That's a great reminder, because you need to physically plug it into a Mac to do a downgrade, right?
You do, yes.
Or a reset.
So I would be out of luck to do a downgrade. So yeah, we'll see if I want to do that now or in July. But yeah, this seems really awesome. And they add SharePlay to the Photos app, so you can be, if a family member or whatnot has a Vision Pro, you can be like reminiscing across old photos and videos and stuff, which is, I'm surprised it wasn't there before, quite honestly.
Yeah, that was like spatial personas. You can have like someone come into your space. It's always weird. I did one of those, I did a spatial personas thing. We played that Game Room app where we played like chess and checkers and Battleship, and it was cool, but there was this weird like feeling I got where like they were in my room and they saw the board from like their perspective, and like they saw me from like the distance away from them I was, and all that good stuff. But like it was still weird to me that like they didn't see my area. Like they weren't seeing the room around me. They were seeing something totally different. So it was like this weird, we're sharing half of our vision.
Right.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was still cool, but like that is still kind of a weird thing. I wonder if they'll ever be able to make it so you can like totally, like I could invite them into my living room and they could see the photos in my space like entirely. That's probably incredibly hard to do, but that's the sort of thing I wonder if they could even do, or they'd want to do in the future.
From a privacy level. Yeah, I don't know. Like you can do like share your view from FaceTime with somebody, so there is that. But yeah, that would be interesting to like invite someone into your actual space kind of.
Yeah. So that's really cool. I think one of the things that I not to bring this all back to my like issues with visionOS, but one of the things I would like is to make it easier to share experiences in the headset with people. And so it looks like this would help you share with someone else with a Vision Pro. I don't think they said anything, unless you saw something where like someone who's on an iPad or iPhone could maybe see what I'm seeing. I don't think they announced that, but maybe I missed it.
You can AirPlay an Apple Vision Pro to an iPad already, right? That's how, if you're in guest mode.
Yeah. You're right.
And they did add in visionOS 2, your Apple Vision Pro can now become an AirPlay receiver. So you can now beam stuff into the Apple Vision Pro. I want to know what that looks like. Like, can I make that a full screen thing and like let me watch a video from a Blu-ray player kind of thing? Like, that'd be interesting. Probably not. I don't know.
Okay,
Good.
It is an AirPlay receiver. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's actually that's interesting because that would make it so you could watch a TV show kind of together.
Right. You AirPlay. Can you AirPlay from an Apple TV to a Vision Pro? I don't know. These are the kind of things like in DRM.
These are the sorts of questions
DRM's content,
we'll know in a couple hours. Yeah.
AirPlay that. And I know there's audio AirPlay things that you can hook up to like a stereo, but that doesn't exist for video. There's no way to like hook up to like a PS3, some kind of video AirPlay thing. I don't know. Maybe there are, but probably not. That stuff seems like that could be cool. So that was an addition, which is nice.
Ooh, I just saw something on the page that they didn't say in the keynote. I don't think you can. The Vision Pro will now save the most recent guest's eye information, so that if you put it right back on the same person, it doesn't make them go through the configuration process anymore.
It's very nice.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
I was hoping for some like sort of VIP guest so I could like save my wife as one. But now it looks like as long as I only show it to her, she won't have to go through the configuration ever again. So that's really good. I was really hoping for something like that. So that's awesome to see.
Yeah, I tried the guest mode with my mom was visiting, and the big bummer is you can't leave optical inserts in for guest mode. It's like my mom and I have similar eyes. It'd be nice to just leave it in. I know it's like, but it refused. So I had to have her just use my passcode and enter in that way. But it'd be so nice to have that. One cool hack, if your wife did use lenses and you did not, you have you have two optic ID scans. One for if the lenses are in and one if they're out. So if you felt comfortable sharing all of your data and stuff with another person, and one had no lenses, one did, that is actually a way around to have two sets of eyes in the Apple Vision
Interesting.
Pro. Yeah. So that's like a pro tip for those that one has good eyes, one does not.
Nice.
And then I also noticing on the page here, the Photos app will now let you trim videos in the Photos app, which, thank you. That was very annoying that you could not do that before.
Yeah,
and then
that's really good.
And it looks like the redesign for Photos is coming to visionOS, which is nice. This redesign of Photos we'll talk about later. It's extensive. I'm not quite sure what I think about it quite yet.
Yeah, I really need to get used to it. This is one of the weird things about Apple's WWDCs is like they share different features of different apps in different parts of the presentation. So like they talk about Photos in the visionOS section, but they don't tell you everything because they want to share the next part in the Photos section. And they're like, oh yeah, that's also on visionOS. And then the Mac part comes. And then today we had the Apple Intelligence segment at the end. And they're like, oh yeah, and all these go back to all these other devices. And you're like, okay, it's a lot to keep track of.
Yeah, it's a lot. And the Final Cut Pro, they announced it's finally getting... They announced this, I thought, last June, that Final Cut Pro would eventually get spatial persona or spatial video editing, and they announced it's coming this year as a thing. So you'll be able to edit, and there will be a pipeline as well with Blackmagic and DaVinci Resolve for editing fully immersive stuff. Final Cut will just do 3D spatial videos, but I believe DaVinci will be the tool for fully immersive stuff for people shooting that.
Oh, it's so weird.
Yeah,
so weird. Apple's
it's very
pushing
weird.
This tech and like their editor doesn't do it. But anyway,
yeah, maybe next year, fully immersive in Final Cut. We'll see. One of the coolest things I think is this new gesture. Instead of looking up, which is like one of the worst things. I constantly am having problems. Like if I'm looking up the right way, it's kind of causing a little bit of eye strain trying to look up properly.
100%.
You have the control center. You'll be able to just like have your hand rotated up or down the palm, and by doing that, it'll either do the go home. Oh, that is also pretty cool. So instead of needing to reach up to hit the little button there to go home, you can just have your hand to go home. or do the other direction for Control Center, which I use all the time. And prior, I would do Control Center and then the home icon to go home if I didn't have access to my hand going there. So this will be very nice doing this.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. The Control Center, like you can like configure it to like say how far up you want to look to bring up the picker to like pull down Control Center. And like it was either too low, so I would accidentally hit it a lot, or I see like this little dot kind of floating at the top of my vision because I was always kind of close to it, or it was at retina detaching high, and I'd have to like just strain my eyes to really see it. So this looks better. This is definitely an improvement. I mean, this is the sort of thing you would expect, right?
Totally.
From an early operating system in version 2, that's only like 4 months after they released version 1. Like we're going to see a lot of UI improvements like this. So it's good to see just kind of stuff like this, little things that aren't like back of the box, like selling points necessarily, but are quality of life features. So I'm glad to see something like this.
Do you think the lookup thing is just gone? Like this replaces it? Or do you think that'll be there too?
I kind of think it's gone.
That's
what I would guess.
I would think so. I would hope so.
I am a little curious about accessibility. How would that work if you can't do like the hand gestures necessarily? But yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. And I'm curious, is LiDAR good in dark environments enough to see your hand do this versus...
No, that's a good point, yeah.
One other cool thing this does with the hand thing, you can look at the time and do an easier way of like volume control and some like little things. I wonder if you can customize that in any way.
Maybe next year. Probably. I'm guessing no. And then save it for next time.
And then you can finally rearrange the icons on the home screen, Matt.
Oh, you can? Okay, yeah. I didn't see that.
So this was in the slide at the very end. It's on their webpage. Simply pitch and hold to jiggle and arrange apps and bring them to your home view, including those from the compatible apps folder. So I can throw iPad apps on the main screen, which
thank
is
goodness.
Nice.
Okay.
No folders, it sounds like, quite yet, which is a bummer. At least that's not what they showed, at least. But yeah, this is great because I have, I think, probably 12 pages of app icons, and to get those last pages, it's a major bummer. So it'll be nice to have that home screen be like my video apps that I use a lot, and Varight and some of the productivity stuff I do on the second page, and that'll be nice.
Yeah, that's good. I was kind of wondering going into this whether Apple was going to clear out their apps from the compatible apps. Like I was wondering, you got to think eventually they're going to have a visionOS native calendar app, right?
Yeah,
and
that's
everything
not
else
announced
they've got in there
yet at all.
No, they said nothing. I don't think there's any new Apple apps that are native for visionOS that I saw.
I wonder if by the end of the summer that'll change. If we'll slowly over the beta cycle see new ones just like appear, but maybe not. Maybe they're too busy with other things.
Yeah, I don't really know because they've not been shy about adding new features to visionOS like 1.1, 1.2, or whatever the versions were. Like it's not like it was locked in place and they just did bug fixes. Like they have been adding some stuff, so maybe. But yeah, I was a little disappointed by that, but not the end of the world by any means.
Yeah. It's interesting on their webpage. They have some features that are tagged coming later this year, which is funny because like the OS is coming later this year. But what this means is it's probably not going to be in beta 1 and probably not in the launching release in the fall. Another
one of those quirks of that you just learn over the years of being an Apple fan of, okay, everything is coming in September, October, but if it's coming later this year, that's not September, October, that's November, December.
Yes.
And honestly, it's probably January, February.
Yeah. And one of the things coming later this year is improvements to Mac Virtual Display. So there are rumors, they might do multiple displays or whatever. But instead, I think this is the better approach, actually. They're going to enable a panoramic displays, so wide and ultra wide, which ultra wide seems very cool. It like wraps around you in this equivalent to 2 4K displays, they said. And I hope this works on the M1 MacBook Air. I think it would. He said they use foveated rendering to make this a reality. This looks super, super awesome. Like I'm excited to try this out.
Yeah, this is definitely good. Like it's leaning into. I do kind of agree that like multiple displays make sense in the physical world, where you like. I mean, you can only make a screen so big,
right?
Without it being insane. But in like the virtual space, you don't need multiple displays necessarily,
Yeah.
like in the same way. So like having more options for your single display, I think makes sense. This is probably going to a place where like you can pull the Mac windows into your virtual space and move them around, like visionOS apps maybe one day. But
That's what I want one day.
yeah, we're not there yet. But this is definitely an improvement and gives you more space. And I think most people put their multiple displays just side by side anyway, so you're effectively getting the same experience.
Yeah, and have like a virtual curved thing makes total sense in this environment versus I probably wouldn't buy a curved monitor myself, but in visionOS that makes more sense.
Yeah. And in the macOS section, they improved their window management where you can drag them to corners or sides or do keyboard shortcuts, and so those will help you kind of move things around. Ironically, window management on a Mac in visionOS will be more easy to do than visionOS window management.
Yeah, they Sherlocked like Magnet and some of the Mac tools that do this already. And this was unattached to Stage Manager at all. They did not talk about Stage Manager for Mac.
No, not a single word about Stage Manager, I don't think.
Which is wild to me that like, oh, well, do this like yet another way to work with your Windows. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also seeing that you can now see your keyboard when you're in a virtual environment. And thank goodness.
Thank God. This is awesome.
Although, is it only Magic Keyboards?
Also, well, it is Magic Keyboard, but it's also the laptop keyboard. So I can, with my MacPad, MacBook Air slab, it'll show that as well. But sadly,
so no mechanical keyboards. Yeah.
Too advanced. Maybe next year with Apple Intelligence, they'll be able to figure out what a keyboard looks like.
Is it a keyboard? Yes or no?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm very excited that the laptop was mentioned there because that is a bummer when that's like...
It is really good. Because like you have to be... I always do my environments when I'm like working, when I actually am doing kind of like computery stuff and I'm using a keyboard. I do have my environment at like 50%,
just with the keyboard.
Makes it so that my keyboard is visible. That's the only reason. I don't need to see the rest of my room necessarily, but I do need to see my keyboard because I'm not a perfect touch typist.
Yeah,
and so pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty great. And the mouse is supported. You no longer you can now use a Magic Mouse or any third-party Bluetooth mouse to navigate while using Vision Pro. So. That was a question.
Nice.
Why is it just trackpad? They didn't have time for it. One question regarding the ultra wide. Do you think Mac games that support ultra wide would be kind of rad in this mode?
I mean, they'd probably work. I think.
Yeah, right.
The Mac like actually changes its display resolution to whatever the virtual display is. So I think the game would just see it as a normal display. So I would hope that it would just work kind of naturally.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be nice.
That would be great. As someone who recently tried to play some games on my iPad connected to an external display and learned that you cannot play games in full screen necessarily on a external display from the iPad, this would be great.
Yeah, for sure.
This would be a bonus.
Another thing not mentioned in the keynote or even on the slide, but is on the website, watching videos in Safari gets more cinematic. Enjoy watching videos in Safari on a truly massive screen while you're in any environment. It's a stunning cinematic viewing experience with a new beautiful glow and reflection from the screen. Your embedded videos from YouTube.com, Netflix.com, and more have never looked bigger or better. I love the shade. It's kind of like they don't have apps, but we made this better, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah, it's like both shade and acknowledging that those apps aren't coming super soon.
Yeah, which Juno is great. But yeah, I'm watching the little thing now. Basically, what it'll let you do is hit a button to go full screen with, say, a YouTube embedded video or Netflix. And in the viewer, there's the little environments icon that you can tap and like pull it up. I wonder if they'll like do the Apple TV environment as an option, because that would be neat.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I use when I watch YouTube on the Vision Pro, I do it from Safari because that's, for me, that's the better interface.
Yeah.
And it does do, like, if you hit full screen, it does go to like the full screen, the full like video player. But I guess you can't set environments from there. So Yeah, cool little update there.
And speaking of environments, we're getting Bora Bora.
Now,
which I don't know. Was this a coming soon environment?
I was going to say, give us the coming soon environments. Are they coming soon?
And for all I know, this was a coming soon, but I don't know because they're not labeled what the names of the environments are.
Okay.
And we had more than just one coming soon environment.
Yeah, it wasn't just Bora Bora. There were at least 2 or maybe 3.
And the tagline on this is new environments, but it only mentions Bora Bora, which is curious to me that they don't know.
Interesting. Maybe there's 2 of Bora. No, I don't know.
But yeah, more environments. Bring them on. Bora Bora. This is like a beach. Sounds nice. You got the ocean there. It kind of looks like I'm on like a Jurassic, like the Lost World Jurassic Park island with the the little islands in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So I could throw some dinosaurs.
Ooh, okay. I'm also seeing there's a new feature called Look to Dictate, where when you have was that already a thing?
That's been there. Is this new?
Has it?
Or did they like make this better? I do see this. Look to Dictate, a new way to dictate in messages.
This is like just look at a microphone icon and then start talking and it'll record. I thought you always had to pinch. Did you not have to pinch? Have I been pinching needlessly?
Yeah, I don't know. That feature's never worked great for me, I must say. So maybe they've made it much better.
Oh no. Okay, hopefully.
And then there's now a multi view within the TV app. So MLS and MLB can watch up to 4 different games at once, I believe.
5 different games, it looks like.
5, okay.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool if you like sports, which I don't, but that's cool.
Happy for you.
Yeah, I'm happy for you. The one thing I was hoping to see with the TV app but didn't was Apple or iTunes Extras. Those are still not supported. So like movies like The Fall Guy, which have this extended cut available through the TV's extras. You can't watch that in visionOS because it's an extra versus just all you have access to is the main purchase, which is a bummer.
That is kind of a bummer.
So one day. Maybe
one day.
Come. Persona enhancements were also not mentioned on the splash screen at the end of the presentation or in the keynote at all. But now when you capture your persona in visionOS 2, you'll be able to enjoy more accurate skin tones and vibrant clothing colors. Hand movements are more fluid and natural with new animation effects. And during FaceTime or third-party video calls, you can add a variety of backgrounds so you can choose the right one for the right time. And so instead of having that default background that they give you, you'll have some options there.
That looks kind of like a in memoriam kind of like 3D model of you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's kind of similar to what they added on macOS and iPad and iPhone for FaceTime calls where you can do a custom background. So that's cool. I gotta say, just the initial version of spatial personas, I was blown away how well it tracks like minute facial expressions and your hands and arms move. I was blown away. It was incredible. So if they're making it even better, that's fantastic because I was not expecting to be as impressed with it as I was.
It's pretty cool. I mean, right? I mean, I've done a couple of those calls and it feels like I'm with the person I'm in the room with,
Yeah, it's super weird. It doesn't come across in video. Like if you watch someone on YouTube like showing what it's like, it doesn't really share the feeling of it. And like I've heard other other podcasters and YouTubers like say that exact same line and I'm like, what are you talking about? It looks so fake. But like it is true. It feels more real than I ever expected.
Yeah, VR is one of those things that it's like almost impossible to describe. Like you just kind of like put it on to experience it yourself because it is so different from
one of the fun rabbit hole, but one of the fundamental challenges of VR is
that's one of the reasons I think it's a little hard to sell because it's like I know what holding a phone next to my eyes looks like.
Yep, we should ship everybody in the world a cheap headset so they can understand. Oh, okay, and then they can appreciate these things more. But Yeah.
And
was there anything else for visionOS?
train support for travel modes. So if you're on a train, your windows won't go flying anymore. Now, do you think a car and a train are similar enough for this to work there? Or does the turning of a car make it totally broken there?
I mean, could you do it on the highway, I wonder? Like
right.
if you're in,
Going
I guess,
straight.
Yeah, I suspect Apple has some safety concerns with this one.
Well, like you're a passenger, you're in the
of
back
course,
seat. Yeah.
Ideally.
Never drive with your Vision Pro like those YouTubers have done.
Absolutely. But Apple just might be a little nervous.
They might, yeah. There's also the mindfulness app now follows your breathing. So Apple Vision Pro senses your breathing rate and matches it to the visual animations during a mindfulness session. That's pretty neat. As a thing. I've not done a lot of the mindfulness stuff that's in there now, but it sounds like it's getting even better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
Things. As far as stuff announced on stage, we got more APIs, advanced volumetric APIs, which it sounded like maybe you can do more with multiple apps open, because I know before developers had to go in the fully immersive mode to do cool stuff, and maybe now you can do more multi-app stuff at the same time that's more advanced, is what I'm thinking that this means.
Hopefully. Yeah, I definitely want to watch some of the developer sessions on these things this year. Even as an average user, I'm not a developer myself, but as an average user, I feel like that would help me understand what sorts of things I can even hope for from developers. What can they make now that they couldn't make before? So I'm definitely intrigued by those.
Yeah. And then the tabletop kit API, which will be good for even better tabletop gaming and whatnot, stuff that you have to anchor the tables. Enterprise APIs, exciting stuff. And then, are you a Canon EOS R7 owner, Matt?
No, I'm an R6 owner, though. And I was very confused why it seems to only support one specific camera and not even their highest end one.
Do you think that lens would work on your R6, or are the lenses incompatible with each other?
I mean, the lenses all work. They're all part of the same mounting style, but maybe the software isn't. Maybe the firmware won't be supported. It's very strange. A very, very interesting development.
Yeah, it's great that there'll be more official ways to get good spatial videos, because that'll be cool. And then they're releasing some extreme sports series, another music thing, a follow-up to Alicia Keys, it sounds like, with The Weeknd, and a Submerged, which sounds like a more full-featured kind of thing from what they said, a short, more of a short film type thing versus what's been out there now.
Okay.
And then other stuff on the website that was not on the splash screen either. Safari has unique features only possible on Vision Pro, so it has that video environment thing. Siri can read and speak the content on web pages. Panoramas on websites wrap, just like they do in the Photos app. And you can now customize your tab groups and pin a tab on top, so you'll never lose it. And I believe tab groups were not in visionOS 1, and that was one of the things Mike Hurley was very upset about.
Mm-hmm. I think that's correct, yeah. And then I'm curious what this pin means, because obviously you can pin tabs in other Safaris, but I wonder if it's any different here.
Yeah, pin a tab on top. So you'll never.
On top.
I don't know. What does that mean? On top?
I don't know. Is it on top where the tabs are, or is it above? Oh man,
yeah.
The spatial computing. We have all new questions.
We really do. Then Apple Music takes collaborating, curating, enjoying, and turns them up to 11. Friends can curate playlists together, react to tracks with emoji, and join the ultimate sing-along session using Sing in Apple Vision Pro. So that's a thing.
Okay. Do those use spatial personas, I wonder?
I would imagine so. It does not say that, but I would think so. That'd be fun if they put a virtual mic in your hand,
Well, if they had controllers, they could
there you go. Right? And then we're getting the stuff they announced earlier with accessibility. Apple Vision Pro, all our products inclusive, live captions, real-time transcripts of speech, audio, and video content, as well as built-in features like smart color invert, reduced transparency support, and implant. Not sure what implant is.
Are those like hearing aids?
Maybe, yeah.
Sorts of things? I'm not totally sure.
And then Quick Look. In visionOS 2, Quick Look lets you anchor objects to a surface and move them. So now you can do things like preview how a piece of furniture looks in your room. You can change the color and materials right before your eyes. So there's like a more advanced Quick Look. So apps like Amazon could like let you preview it in your space better. Some apps like Lowe's already do this, but it sounds like there'll be better ways to do this.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm curious how that one plays out.
That is visionOS 2 from what we know so far. How are you feeling about this?
There's some good stuff here. I would say it definitely feels like an update that would come 4 months after.
Yeah, like a 1.5.
Not a year after. Yeah, It seems like the software was like just got over the finish line when they launched it for 1.0, and then this is what they were going to be able to add by September. And it's not bad, but it's not game changing.
Yeah, I'd
say. But like everything we talked about here is a welcome addition. So I don't think any of it's bad. I don't know if it's going. I guess I had a dream that maybe this update would change. Like someone who didn't want it before might suddenly want it because of some new feature. I don't think I see that. But if you do have one or you did want one, then I don't see how any of these would go unnoticed. Like you're going to notice the control center, you're going to notice the Mac external display. Like that one I think is going to make a lot of people happy. Mouse support is really good. Like there's definitely some good stuff in here. But they're more
the keyboard
improvements over improvements over what's already there, and not kind of like here's the next big step already. They're not ready for that yet, which again, it's only been 4 months, so it's not unfair. Or it might have been unfair to ask for that.
Yeah, like when the Apple Watch launched, it seemed that the hardware was coming in very hot, and there were a lot of delays with like I remember ordering and maybe so the hardware with the watch was what was, and then the software also came in super.
Yeah,
but maybe they had more time to bake
in
that.
hot.
I don't know. Yeah, it's hard but yeah, a lot of nice little tweaks. The thing that I think a lot of people were like maybe wondering is like window management. Is that going to change in any way to like, group different windows together? Maybe make stacks of windows they can flip through, and nothing like that is there quite yet. So maybe next year for that stuff.
Yeah, that would be good. Just being able to set up groups of apps and easily kind of, I don't know, pin things. There's a lot of things to do there. It's probably an incredibly hard problem.
Yeah, is that probably solve. Like the big thing that you were hoping, like just window management, or what kind of things like are the big things that are missing?
It's a great question. I do think window management is a tricky thing because I do feel a little bit like every time I put the headset on, I'm putting it on for the first time. And I kind of have to like start over, and it's going to make the window the default size, and I have to move it and resize it. Like a good example is, again, even in my limited use case, my use case is watching movies. I put the movie screen at the exact same place in my space every time. I have call sheet over on the left, so I can have the movie info pulled up, and I could just look over and like see, who is that actor? How old were they? Like that sort of info. Yeah. I always do this. I do it every single time, and I have to just manually do it all the time. So yeah, saving presets or something like that, so I don't have to just recreate everything every time, is definitely a thing I would be looking for. And then I guess something with some improvements to the Mac virtual display. The more space I think is definitely a good thing. But I would kind of like it to feel a little more native. I'd like the audio to route through more devices. It seems like right now it'll only route through the MacBook speakers or AirPods if you're using AirPods.
Yeah.
Which I don't. I have speakers on my desk that I want to use, but I can't use them when in virtual display mode. So I think those are two of the things I was looking for.
Yeah, and like use the Apple Vision Pro speakers. Like what are they doing there?
Yeah, that too. Like there's speakers, there's great speakers right next to my ears. Like
Yeah, like you should be able
that
to
should
use
work.
like put the Mac audio like alongside visionOS audio and kind of like have that as one soundscape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think those, and I think the other thing is kind of a cop out, but like something that surprises me. I think one of the things that's exciting about like a new computing platform is the things that it could allow me to do that I couldn't do on the other devices in my life. Like what sort of thing, like if you think about like TikTok, whether you like TikTok or not, TikTok doesn't make any sense on a Mac.
No.
Like it's a thing custom made that makes sense on a phone. I'm kind of waiting for like that thing that's like, oh, I could not do this before. And I think movies are kind of that thing where like having a full entertainment center, like not just in my living room, but also in my bedroom, in my office, on vacation, like that's all good. But I guess I want more of those things that I didn't necessarily ask for, but when I see them, I'm like, oh my God, I need that. That makes me happy I spent this money.
Yeah, and maybe the volumetric APIs enable some new apps that couldn't exist before. Same thing with the TableKit API, but Apple doesn't have any first-party apps that like showcase. Here's a glimpse at what other developers could do, similar to what we just did. So you do.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll take time. I totally appreciate that. And I guess I just want it now.
Yeah,
we all want it. Everything now.
Headset launching in new countries was the final bit. 8 new countries. First off, China, Japan, and Singapore on June 28th. And then Australia, Canada, France, Germany, and the UK on July 12th. So coming up, I'd imagine there will be a point update to visionOS 1 to enable location localizations to all these countries.
Yeah, probably. I do know a few people internationally who have been curious about the Vision Pro and just haven't had an opportunity. So I am curious how many more people buy it after, because we're past the hype. Like, kind of couple weeks of like, oh, it's brand new. It could be anything. Like people are wearing them in Starbucks. They're driving their cars with them. We're past that phase. It's just a product now.
Right. It's settled in.
So I'm curious how successful it's going to be. We'll never know because they won't tell us numbers.
Nope.
But I think we'll know when we see more people. If we see more people using it, just kind of internationally who weren't using it before.
Like in different countries, like I know like Japan has these super tiny studio apartments. Like where in America, people buy 80-inch TVs. I don't have one, but a lot of people do. Like the theater stuff, I think in some countries and settings, if someone has the means to purchase this would, a rich person in Japan may not have room for, a theater like they have here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. At the price point that it is, I think in the UK it's £3,500, so it's technically even more than it is in the US. So like you're going to be pretty well to do in the grand scheme of things if you're buying one of these in the first place. But you're right. In the US, if you're pretty well to do, odds are you have enough space to have a large TV, a sound system, and everything. But if you're in a place where you can be well off, but like space is not a thing that you're going to have, that could make that a more compelling purchase then.
And I know a lot of my friends that import them will be very excited to be able to just buy accessories and different headbands locally to not import. So for those that imported early, they can now buy stuff. Italy, not on the list. Sorry, Federico. It's
Federico.
He'll still be an exclusive there. One of the only ones in Rome.
Yes.
This episode is sponsored by Agenda, which recently rolled out version 19. In this quick break, I want to share a little bit about Agenda on the Apple Vision Pro and one of my favorite new features in Agenda 19. Agenda is available on the Apple Vision Pro through an awesome iPad app that works especially well with hand and eye tracking. Or if you're hooking up a Mac to your Apple Vision Pro, as I've been doing a ton lately, you can work with their awesome native Mac app. The iPad app on the Apple Vision Pro is my preferred way to draft up my interview questions. Putting the iPad app as a portrait app lets me focus on the text and have plenty of room to arrange reference material as I get my head around how I want to get the most out of my guests. A simple pitch and drag either left or right lets me access the side panels with ease. Because the iPad app is so perfectly optimized for that platform, including the trackpad support, it just feels right at home with all the interaction methods available in visionOS. Because the iPad app is such a perfect citizen of that platform, including multi-window support on the iPad, That also carries over to the visionOS app, allowing any note or section of the app to be opened in a new window. So I can, with Agenda on visionOS, have a reference document open alongside the questions I'm working on. So few iPad apps do this good of a job at supporting multi-window, and that work really pays off when working in visionOS, which doesn't have a system-wide way of creating new windows within an already open app. Now that I've created my own headless MacBook Air, and I'm using the Mac a ton with the Apple Vision Pro, I'm very excited to be using the Mac version of Agenda, and will be sharing more about my experiences there in the coming weeks. Agenda 19 just launched, and the team at Agenda really focused on the search experience and making sure you can find exactly what you're looking for. One awesome side effect of this search focus is a brand new overview that brings together all of your notes with to-dos in one place. This is such a nice change and has me using to-dos more within Agenda already. I'll be sharing more in the coming episodes just how powerful the new search features are, but for now, just wanted to give you a taste of what you can do. Beyond just basic keyword searching, you can filter both a search inquiry, but your entire library on the note's due date, note status, the note's color, filtering out certain categories, and even filtering to show you dates that were edited today, this week, or this month. This filtering is very powerful, allowing you to browse your entire library with those filters in place as you navigate the entirety of Agenda. If you haven't tried Agenda out already, I'd encourage you to give it a shot. Agenda is free to download and use with no obtrusive ads. To unlock the full power of Agenda, give Agenda Premium a shot. One thing that Agenda continues to do that I love is their approach to premium features and unlocks. If you ever decide to cancel your Agenda Premium subscription, you get to keep all of the premium features available when you are a subscriber, or you can opt for their lifetime unlock, which will unlock the full power of Agenda on all your Apple devices with a single one-time purchase. To learn more, go to agenda.com. Download Agenda 19 today for free from the App Store. My thanks again to Agenda for sponsoring this episode of Vision Pros. Learn more at www.agenda.com.
So iOS 18 is next. And one of the big mysteries was like, surely Apple won't force Instagram or Facebook to have a different color icon. Like Facebook's blue, but it seems like, yeah, they're just says screw it. Every app icon seems to just be matching into this new theming, dark modes, and all that, and arranging app icons anywhere seems to be a thing and looks well implemented. This all looks really great. Like the make your iPhone personalized seems like where they're all in now.
Yeah, that was my big question, because obviously the iPhones in Apple's demos and these always just have Apple's apps on them. They don't have third-party apps most of the time. So all of their demos of like, and all the icons change color. Like, we didn't see Instagram's app changing.
We did not.
And
it's
so
yeah.
I assume apps will be able to do this. And again, developer sessions, I assume there's something on this. But I wonder what will happen for these apps where the developer does not do anything. Will it forcibly change it? Will it... like, that's going to look weird in some cases, but it's also going to look weird if like some of your apps are turned like red and others are just completely different. So like, I know on Android they've had Material U, which is basically this exact same thing.
Yeah.
They've had this for years, where you could like have all of your icons take on a certain tint, but not all apps supported it, and those stood out like a sore thumb on your home screen. It just looked ugly. So I don't understand how Apple's going to either forcibly do it or how they're going to let people set up their home screens in this like weird half and half state. Neither seems possible, but they're doing it. So I don't know what it's going to be. So I guess I'm just waiting for that beta to test it out.
Yeah, it seems like we'll know very soon. But the way it was pitched to me was just like, this is system wide and developers almost don't need to do anything.
Definitely sounded that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they have to. Like, developers upload PNG files. Like, those don't have layers. They don't, like... I'm really curious how Apple's pulling this off.
The power of Apple Intelligence.
There
which
you
is
go.
why you can't recolor anything on Apple Vision Pro.
Well...
and the first betas are out. I will not update as we're talking, so that'd be irresponsible. They are out now. And they're... before we dive fully into iOS, visionOS OS 1.2 is out. Very weird. Persona, eyesight, and virtual keyboard improvements, which the keyboard needs a lot of work. So, just very briefly, as this is Vision Pros, otherwise I wouldn't bother. iPad Pros. But version 1.2, let's see, enables mobile device management, messages, adds iMessage contact key support, Persona, adds option to roll your Persona hands-free, improved hair and makeup appearance, improved neck and mouth representation, improved rendering for the eyes and eyesight. The cursor position for text input is now more accurate. Resolves some instances where the virtual keyboard placement obscures text input field. Happened all the time.
Nice.
Fixes issue where in some cases the text preview on the virtual keyboard may appear out of sync with what's in the text box. And fixes an issue where the edit menu may appear unexpectedly. Yes, that all happens quite a bit. Mac Virtual Display improves reliability discovering and connecting to a Mac, which is nice. You don't have to go into Control Center as often. Resolves an issue where Universal Control may stop working. And addresses a connectivity issue when a paired Bluetooth device may not be found. And captive Wi-Fi support at hotels and airports is now supported in visionOS. So, yeah. So, anyways, any thoughts on 1.2?
Sounds good.
Excellent. Yeah.
Haven't had time to think about it.
But yeah, some cool stuff there. And yeah, as the betas are installed, we'll find out more about the color tinting and all that good stuff. Control Center was next up. This seems really well thought out, really well done. Multiple pages. Developers can finally be in Control Center with their own custom things. And all of these controls you can tie to the action button, which is also super cool.
Yeah. This is really good. The ability to, like, I'm looking at my Control Center now, and there are so many things I literally never touch. And they're taking up like half the page. Yeah. So I'm really happy to be able to. It looked like you could organize everything, like even like the media at the top right that's always been there, airplane mode, cellular, those things at the top left, like move them down, move them off. You can
resize them too. So like if you want a huge brightness thing, you can make that big. That's cool.
Oh man, it'd be great if regular widgets could do that too.
Did I imagine that, or could app icons become bigger?
They did say that. They did say optional bigger app icons.
Yeah.
On the iPad and I presume the iPhone.
Yeah, and I wonder if they could get smaller. I'd love smaller app icons on the iPad.
I was going to say, bigger isn't what I want. I wanted smaller.
Yeah.
I feel like there's already an option when you're like setting up an iPhone and iPad to like choose like bigger icons. Maybe there's like a third option for like enormous icons now.
Yes. But yeah, this control, I'm very excited for the iOS beta to install this right away. And there's so much stuff in here, and I love that the your home stuff is on a separate like window in Control Center.
Mm-hmm.
So like organizing between different pages, I think can be so much nicer than just having everything forced on one page.
Yeah, I'm also seeing on the pages, each page has an icon, and I wonder if you can set that yourself, like in their example, like the first page is a heart, the next one's a music note, then a home icon, then a connectivity icon. So I'm hoping those are things you can manually set yourself.
Yeah, I
assume you can.
I just checked on my iPhone, and the beta updates has a train for 17 developer and 18 developer, and I just enrolled my iPhone. So,
oh, there we go. I did too.
And then you can now lock apps behind Face ID, and it'll also carry over to Spotlight search. So if you're searching for something, that data from that app won't be in Spotlight. And there was an option to hide apps as well, so they're not even visible, which I'm wondering how that worked. Like it knows like you're holding the phone and to show that app icon, otherwise it's just like hidden, which is interesting.
I didn't understand. I was like watching that and I didn't understand. Like I was like waiting for not the punchline, but like they're like, okay, and you can put them in this folder that says hidden apps. And then I was like, but then they're in a folder called hidden apps. So obviously that hidden apps folder isn't just going to show up all the time because then people can just see what's there.
Right.
But then like, how do you get to them? Like, does that folder show up when it recognizes your face? Does it do a Face ID check when you try to open it? I don't know. I guess everyone listening will know because they've installed the beta since seen, but it was unclear in the presentation exactly how that worked.
Yeah. So that'll be something to play around with. I could see myself using that for, if I hand my daughter my phone or something, have some stuff that just like doesn't let her hop into it.
And I think they also had a way to lock specific apps, right? Like behind Face ID, even if the app itself doesn't have a feature for that.
Yes. Yeah. So like currently, like your banking app has like Face ID to unlock it.
Yeah.
And so this is like a more system-wide thing.
My task manager doesn't have Face ID, but I kind of wanted to. Now you can just do it from the OS level.
Exactly. Which reminders example does not have that.
Yeah.
So like you hand your wife your iPhone and you can lock like, gift ideas for my wife. That's like hidden away now.
Sure.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Next up, messages. What's up?
One more thing on Control Center.
Yeah.
They finally gave us the option to change the flashlight and camera icons on the lock screen.
Whoa. No way. What can they do
finally?
now?
Anything.
Any control can be there.
Any widget, any lock screen widget can go there.
That's enticing.
Which is very good. Very good.
That's very good.
I so rarely use the flashlight. Yeah. And the camera. The camera is accessible on the lock screen. I think you can swipe left to get to the camera. I have my action button set up to it. So like it's absolutely useless to me. I want to put something else there. So that's great.
That's incredible. Okay. The Control Center thing I think is like one of the biggest fundamental changes.
Low key. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
For enthusiasts like us. Absolutely.
And yeah, no, that's great. I almost want some Control Center stuff on my home screen. Like, let us bring it out of Control Center.
I know. Well, like on the iPad, you've got the lock screen things are all on the left, right?
Yeah.
When you're in landscape mode, but then you unlock your iPad and they're gone. It would be kind of cool if those could just stay on the home screen just all the time.
Agreed. Yeah, that'd be very cool. Messages got a lot of love this year, and they finally did what we wanted to last year with Tapback, where any emoji can basically become a tapback. This is like everyone installed the beta last year. Is like, this isn't what we thought it was. This is crap. And they finally did it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, super good. And I assume it just remembers your most recently used one. So whatever 5 or 6 that you choose to use will just always be available. Actually, looking from their image, it looks like you can scroll it maybe. So maybe it'll be a scrolling list so you can see more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally into it.
I wonder how this will behave when I start tap backing with iOS 17 people, this crazy stuff. What weird fallback will it have?
Yeah, or Android users were like Google and Samsung, I think, implemented things so that your tapback icons would show on Android phones as well.
Right.
But they didn't implement all the emoji. So, although maybe that's easier now because that's just a Unicode thing, right? So in theory, maybe they could update, but more work for them.
Yeah, and you'll be able to bold text and underline text and do different effects on text. So that's kind of cool. RCS is supported. That was in the splash screen.
They said it out loud.
Oh yeah,
people were taking bets. Were they even going to acknowledge it? Were they going to say the word out loud? And they just mentioned it in passing, but they did say it out loud. They did put it on a slide. So
yeah, it was
great to see that.
Yeah, it was just as far as I could tell, it was just on the slide at the very end, right?
Yes, yeah. They said it out loud, but it was just on the slide. They didn't do and now your green bubbles will be better.
Yeah. And then I'm very excited for the satellite messaging. This is awesome. This is what I was hoping it'd be when it launched. So you'll be able to use the SOS thing to send tapbacks, SMS or iMessages, emoji through satellite if you're in the middle of nowhere. So you're going hiking. Say I'm back at the campsite safely or whatever.
Yep. Yeah. This is rad. I wonder if that's going to. I'm sure it'll be text only because the data
they didn't
rate
mention
is
images or
incredibly
video.
Low. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder what the quirks are there. I think at some point, didn't they say they were going to charge for like emergency SOS and like, or they're like, it'll be free for the first
2
year.
years.
And then they're like, another year. And
Yes.
like,
I mean, for us, we buy phones every year, maybe 2, depending. So we'll continually get the free 2 years. But for older people that don't update as often,
But like, are they actually going to charge for that?
Will they ever? Yeah.
Yeah.
This makes it a feature where people would pay for, I think, more so. Being able to send an iMessage versus just emergencies, I'd more likely pay for that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the whole create your own emoji thing, I imagine you could send that over satellite because that's an emoji. It's not an image.
I think,
a Genmoji, is that are Genmoji compatible with the satellite?
I'm guessing no, but
we'll have to test it out.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll update to the betas, Matt, and I'll try to send you a Genmoji over as satellite.
Yeah, I'm going to need you to go to a remote area with no cellular
That's right.
coverage.
To test this, you actually have to be at a remote area. You can't just turn off your whatever. You have to.
Yeah, you can't just go into airplane mode and start shooting off satellite messages.
Yeah, yeah. And then schedule message with send later. This is great. So like it's midnight. Awesome. You're thinking this is saying, I love this. It's great.
Yeah, this is great. Every messaging app should have scheduling. It's awesome. Super happy to see it in messages.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like solid like things to messages. For sure.
Yeah, more effects, formatting. It's good. It's good. I live in messages. Like none of the other messaging apps have ever worked for anyone that I talk with in the U.S.
Yeah.
So it's iMessage, and the more they can add there, the better, because I cannot get people to use anything else.
It's a hard one. I've got some family, some siblings that are on Android, so they like have the Google whatever thing that I'm just not as responsive there, sadly. Like it's just like it's like I'll open this up once a day and see what's going on over.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd love iMessage on Android just for that. Let's try to move them over there. That's not happening.
Listen, yeah, I don't own Apple stock. I just want iMessage everywhere.
Yeah.
To make my life better. I don't care if it breaks lock-in.
Yeah. The Mail app. I am not a Gmail user anymore. From what I remember of Gmail, when I use like other people's Gmail to like do stuff, it seems like this auto categorization is very similar to what they're doing over there. Is that right?
It is exactly what Gmail does. Yes.
Well, local and on device.
Yes.
How do you do you think this will work out well?
It does. Now that you say that, it does make me wonder how it's going to work between my devices. Will the same emails always show in the same categories? Will the algorithm have some randomness that throws them in different categories on my Mac versus my iPhone? Will it have to wait? Like, will it know from syncing? Like, if I sync my email with my iPhone and then go to my Mac, will my Mac have to recategorize it, or will it already know where it belongs? Lots of questions. And will any other email app know? Probably not. Like, will my email service know that? This has been
probably not
categorized this way. Probably not. So, some questions. I actually kind of do this with a service called SaneBox, where I have kind of a later folder and a news folder. So anything that's kind of a news or newsletter sort of thing that goes into this news one, that's a low priority. Later are just like emails I need to get but aren't important, and then everything else goes to my inbox. So this is kind of maybe replicating that in a way. So we'll see how well this works. But anytime they can give the Mail app some love, I'm excited because it needs it. Although I'm also noticing on the website, Mail is coming later this year.
Yeah, not in the beta is most likely that means. I was looking forward to testing this one out because this looks really rad, actually. And it'll like group messages together, like from the same sender, which is kind of nifty. Where it'll like you get 5 updates about your flight that all kind of goes in one view, which is cool.
Yeah, some nice things here. I think potentially they said something with like the Apple Intelligence will help you like summarize these, like if United sends you like 6 emails about your flight, potentially it'll summarize kind of like, okay, here's what they've said. So you don't have to read all of these emails. So yeah, some cool stuff, but I guess, won't be using this for a little bit still. Dang.
Yeah, which is sad. Yeah. Maps is getting a new hiking topographic maps where you can plan out hikes and stuff, which is neat.
I'm really actually interested in this one. I'm going to try this one out as soon as I get the beta installed.
Yeah.
One of the things I do is I have a dog and I walk him, and we like to go different like new places and take him on a walk. But I always want that walk to be around the same length.
Yes.
And it's sometimes hard to like scroll somewhere else on the map and know how far like this loop that you're doing is. So I'm not going to use this for like hiking in the woods, but if it can like let me kind of draw a path in a neighborhood and know how long that is, that would be super useful.
Yeah.
So I'd be really happy about that.
That could be nifty for sure. And then the wallet is getting tap to cash, which is that just Apple Pay Cash probably being able to tap each other, or can you probably, I don't know if you could use like credit cards with that or not. Probably not.
Yeah, they called out Apple Pay Cash. I swore you could already do that, but maybe not. Maybe I'm making that up.
Yeah, you can do the contact tapping to tap contact cards across. And then in Apple Pay, you'll be able to access like your rewards things within, like if you have rewards points, you'll be able to access that within Apple Pay, which is cool. And then something with better ticketing as well for the wallet.
Yeah, so like they'll show stadium maps and seats and stuff. Looks like they'll show you the weather for the date of the event. So that's actually pretty nice. Yeah, that's actually very nice.
Maybe one of the biggest disappointments, though, of the event was that the journal is still iPhone only. It kind of appears. They did add an Insights View search and like a how you're feeling thing to the app to make it better, but still only on the iPhone.
That app is so weird.
It's so weird. I guess you can journal on your Mac through your iPhone, as we'll talk about later.
Yes.
But so disappointing. This app doesn't run on a platform with a hardware keyboard.
I know.
Or an Apple Pencil to be writing your with the, as we'll talk about later, better,
which we'll talk about later.
Yeah,
I'm very excited about that.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. But gaming, we have game mode on iPhone, similar to the Mac, minimizing background processes, which I don't think is a problem on iOS.
I was going to say, isn't that like the entire point of iOS? Isn't that the entire pitch?
I thought so. And better responsiveness for AirPods and Bluetooth controllers, which nifty.
Yeah, I was actually more excited about that one because I'm one of those people who's very sensitive to input latency.
Okay.
We've talked about this before with like remote gaming. Even when it's good, I'm always a little bothered by it.
Right, and it doesn't bother me at all. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm so jealous of you. But just reducing the latency with like controller input is great. I just spent a week trying to use my iPad for as much gaming as possible.
Yeah.
And it was quite good, but I did detect a little lag with using my PlayStation 5 controller. And so if that's improved, that's awesome.
See, Matt, you should have done the USB-C connection to the iPad.
Nah, all wireless everything.
Because did any of the games you tried on iPad support Rumble with the Bluetooth?
Not that I can remember.
Okay.
I don't think they did.
Because this is just a side tangent. I tried wired a DualSense to my iPad with Remote Play, and remarkably, haptics and Rumble all worked where they don't work over Bluetooth. So that was weird. And now that I know that, that's the only way I'll want to play on my iPad is wired up with Remote Play that way. Anyways, I mentioned that because you would also have no latency.
That's true. So I did kind of do it to myself.
But anyways, I thought game mode was already there because when I hook up a backbone to my iPhone, it enters the game focus mode. So it already had like gaming focus mode. So now I guess that'll probably just enable automatically when I hook up my backbone and be perfect.
Yeah, I hope so. I will say it's been many months now. And I know when the iPhone 15 Pro came out, there was some talk about, this phone runs a little warm. And like, I think a lot of us dismissed it as it's indexing photos and stuff. My iPhone absolutely gets warmer than any other iPhone I've ever owned. My 15 Pro, it gets very warm playing games.
Yeah, I was playing Alien Isolation, and boy, does that thing cook that phone. And it got super warm, and the battery died pretty quickly. Yeah.
Not saying it's a controversy, just saying this is definitely a hot phone. It's running hot.
Definitely a thing. And then photos. Biggest redesign ever. I need to use this because I'm not sure what I feel about it quite yet.
I agree. I think it'll be okay, but it definitely is one of those things where I can't tell just from seeing them use it how much I'm going to like it. A lot of those things they showed, because you basically have like your library, and then once you scroll to the bottom of your list of photos, that's where like all your memories and everything and like albums I think live now, and you can rearrange them and everything. I kind of ignored those features a lot of the time. I don't go to that page very often. So a part of me is like, oh no, is it going to show me a UI that I don't actually want to use? Or is it going to be like, oh, we've improved them, and now that they're in your face, you're going to notice actually how often you actually want to use them. So I'm curious how that's going to go.
Yeah, because I kind of enjoyed the bottom bar where I could, let me go to my albums, and it was, but maybe I'll like this, and they add a new thing with trips, which is cool. So
the trips one is really cool.
Yeah, there's new collections.
It really makes me wish they still had a way to order books or order photo books like iPhoto used to. I don't know if Apple Photos ever technically had it, but
yeah, iPhoto did.
Yeah. So like I don't need photo albums that often, but like a trip is an exact sort of situation where I would want one, and I've gotten a couple of them in the past. So it would be cool if it could auto generate a nice album for you, and with like a click of a button, you could just have a book ordered for yourself.
Yeah. And then on the splash screen, there's now reminders integration in the calendar. So that's cool.
They mentioned that. What does that actually mean?
I don't exactly know. I mean, I'm seeing here in the little tiny screenshot thing. It looks like if you have a reminder that has a time and date, it'll be directly inside your day view with the ability to click it off, which seems kind of actually interesting implementation versus other apps. Well, the reminders will be in like the sidebar of the calendar. This seems like it's more directly integrated into the actual day view.
Yeah. So this one is going to be interesting to see because, like Fantastical, for example, can integrate with Todoist. And Todoist, your tasks that due that day will show in like the all day section at the top of the day in the calendar. And if you have a due date, it does put it in line in your calendar. So it sounds like this is doing that same thing with Apple reminders. Oh, it would be great if it would integrate with third-party apps as well. But this is a good feature. Sometimes reminders like if you have to do something at a specific time, you probably don't want that to overlap with an event on your calendar. So you want to move it around based on what you're doing, so where you're going to be. So this makes a ton of sense. So I'm going to check this out for sure. I think the Reminders app is underrated by some people. So I'm eager to try this out.
For sure. We are getting a passwords app. This is on all the platforms, including visionOS. And it seems better than just the settings part of iOS 17. It seems more fully fleshed out a bit. I don't think there's a place to store like software license keys or like secure notes in that way. So maybe you use Apple Notes for that still if you want to be all in on Apple's way of doing stuff.
I think so. I do think this is good, though. Like, I hope that it lets them do more with the app. Even in this initial version, because the original keychain, or the keychain we've had for like a decade at this point, has really been locked into the settings app UI, right? You can't do a whole bunch there. It's not in Swift UI, I don't think. The settings app, famously not a great interface. So letting them kind of break out from that and be their own kind of first-party app is compelling. Like I'm a 1Password user. I'm a happier 1Password user than I think some people who have gotten very frustrated with them over the past couple of years. But I wouldn't be opposed to using Apple's option if it had a few more features and was a little better to use, in my opinion. So I'll be checking this out and seeing if a change is in my future as well. Yeah.
The family sharing passwords with iCloud was really well done last year. And you can even invite people that aren't in your family group. So that part's great.
Yeah, they definitely improved that. It used to be you could like share them one off at a time, which was horrible for like my use case. But yeah, you can just like add someone to an entire collection now, which is really nice. So you don't have to think about sharing it. They're just kind of automatically shared.
So yeah, I will try this out. I am a 1Password user. I have all my data there, but I also have been putting stuff in iCloud whenever I have a chance to, just to like try to live both places.
Okay.
I find the shared password things amongst family members is getting more traction within iCloud versus trying to have them use 1Password.
I sadly agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing. It's like, this is a super great app. Here's how to use it, but they just don't use it, you know?
Yeah. Yep. Although I do like the one-off like sharing links that 1Password has. Like, I want to share this password and it's accessible for 1 hour, or you can only go open the link once, or like you need to use this email. Like, I really like that. But I could honestly solve 90% of it with just sharing this with the people in my family, and I'm good.
Yeah. And there is a Windows app. So iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple Vision Pro, and Windows.
Okay.
There is no Apple Watch app yet.
Probably no Vision Pro app either.
There is.
Oh, there is. You said Vision Pro.
Yeah. Apple Vision
I
Pro,
tuned it out.
iPad,
oh my God.
Mac, AVP, and Windows. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And then the AirPods has this really cool feature. Apple has this on their website under iOS, so I'll include it here. Ability to shake your head yes or no to respond to Siri, which I love this because there's often times where, I'm not going to be saying anything.
So, okay. So maybe I need you to help me with this one.
Yeah. When will you use this?
Because I think in the example they showed, they're like, sometimes you don't want to talk, and she like nodded to answer a phone call and then talked on the phone, and I'm like, she could have just said yes.
I think the no is the more probably useful one.
Okay. Like, no, I no.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this also has the double tap thing where I might be petrified that I accidentally shake my head yes when a phone call's coming in. It's like, oh no, please.
Yeah, just freeze in place.
Yeah, that detection there would be good.
Don't move your head.
Yeah. Voice isolation is coming to AirPods Pro. I thought this was already there.
Every year, there's a couple features they announce where I'm like, I swear this was already a thing. And I thought the same thing too. I was like, isn't it like just an AirPod feature? But maybe it's more now. I'm not quite sure.
So yeah, maybe it's better. I thought this was a thing though. Or maybe an OS level thing. I thought maybe in FaceTime there was like a voice isolation mode, and I thought the phone app had that. Mm-hmm. But maybe it's like better. Maybe it's for the AirPods now.
It's hard to say.
Yeah. And then spatial audio is coming for games, which I thought they could do that. I guess they couldn't before. Now they can.
Yeah. So
I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that Death Stranding update for spatial audio now, right?
There you go.
And then lots of updates to notes that are kind of in the AI tool bucket that I want to cover later. We got the journal, Apple TV app. We'll talk about that with tvOS a little bit, but that Insight stuff's coming there. And then, so the Home app got some updates. You can grant specific controls with guest access. So say you want a guest to only have access to the front door and not everything else in your house, you can do that now, which that's a super smart thing. Oh, this is super cool, Matt. Did you just about the same thing I did? Express
hands-free unlock.
Yes. Explain this one, because this sounds amazing.
So hands-free unlock magically unlock doors as you approach simply by carrying iPhone in a bag or pocket or wearing an Apple Watch. So I have a smart deadbolt on my front door at my house.
Yep.
And I tap my watch on it to lock it when I leave.
And that's such a magical thing. I feel like a magician tapping that watch, but
it's super great. And this sounds like it's optional. It looks like a thing you have to activate to opt into.
Yeah.
but it seems like it's doing something with ultra wideband Bluetooth or something.
Yeah.
I'm curious what devices are supported, but in theory, as soon as you like approach it, it can automatically unlock for you. So on my model.
Yep. So here's the availability based on the footer. Available with an ultra wideband chip on Apple Watch Series 6 or later, iPhone 11 and later, and compatible ultra wideband locks. So a lot of devices, but it seems like the ultra wideband locks will be the thing that is what is the real, bottleneck there. I'd imagine any lock that supports the fancy home key tap to unlock has got to also support ultra wideband. I'd hope that's true.
I hope so as well.
Which is your lock? I have the Schlag Schlag like plus thing, whatever it's called.
I'm honestly not sure what mine is called. I'm frantically searching.
Yeah.
To see what I own.
But I don't mind tapping with my watch. I think it's fun to do. But other members of my family, they don't want to tap. They want stuff to be unlocked when they're at the door, which I totally get.
It's usually fine, and again with the angle of it, you kind of have to rotate your arm a little bit sometimes, which is a little uncomfortable.
And if you don't have an Apple Watch, I totally understand that because pulling your phone out to tap is not as fun as the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch is just
absolutely
fun.
Yeah. So I am curious because whatever, and I have no idea what brand it is, but whatever I have, it has an option that's GPS based. So if you give the app access to your location all the time, it will lock when you leave home and unlock when you get home. But I found the GPS wasn't accurate enough. And so I would get to the front door and it wouldn't have unlocked and I'd have to tap anyway, or I'd walk away and not be convinced that it actually did what it was supposed to do. So I was like, is my house unlocked? So hopefully this is a little more reliable than that. I would think it would be. Rather than relying on background location data.
Yeah, this reminds me of features that old school smart locks did poorly over Bluetooth. So hopefully this works really well. Robot vacuum cleaners are also going to be added to HomeKit. Great. And then there will be a way to view your home electricity usage. And it sounds like only with select providers, which sucks. If you live in California and have this one provider that's near us, it'll work.
I was going to say, eligible Pacific Gas and Electric Company customers.
That's probably not me.
No.
That's
definitely not me. I'm in the Midwest. I'm nowhere near the Pacific.
Nope.
But yeah, that one did. I don't think they said that one out loud. They just had that on a slide somewhere. But my ears or my eyes got wide when I saw that because that would be cool to see in a home app widget. Yeah, but I guess only if I live out west.
The calendar has a redesigned month view to make it easier to get an overview of the month ahead and create, view, and edit and complete your reminders within the app. SOS Live Video. Share streaming video and recorded media during emergency calls. During a call, participating emergency dispatchers will send you a request to share live video or photos over a secure connection, making it easier and faster to get the help you need. That is pretty nifty, and I'm surprised I didn't mention that on stage. That seems like a cool thing.
That is a cool thing. Yeah, so this isn't the satellite SOS. This is just
this is 911 calling, and that's what. Yeah, you're able to do that now.
That's good. Yeah, Google announced something with some improvements to 911 over RCS, in the past week. So there's been a couple of these more modern ways to use emergency services. So it's hard to be negative about that. That's good.
Yeah. And then for all the tech support out there, we do SharePlay. You can share on someone's screen, and you can even request to control their iPhone or iPad, which is super awesome.
So that works on the iPhone as well as the iPad, it looks like.
Yeah, which I think this is great because
I'm helping people, honestly, more with iPhone questions than iPad questions. So good. Great.
Yeah. And then the fitness tab, you can change the summary, stuff that you want, which is nice.
I was actually super excited about this. I really like this. The health app has had some customization for a while, and I like that because there's the health app is honestly, if you haven't checked out the health app in a while, it's worth looking at because there's so much information in there. And you can customize your kind of home screen to see what metrics are interesting to you. So having this in the fitness app is good. They did not do the two things that I've wanted them to do forever, though. They did not add snow shoveling as a workout. As far as I can tell, I haven't installed the beta yet to confirm, but I would like to see them say it on stage. And they did not let you swap out the stand ring. I really want the stand ring to go and a sleep ring to be able to be added if you want or something like that. But they don't seem to be doing that anytime soon, even though they do sleep tracking. So other than those, very good to see the fitness app get some more customization to be just a little more tuned to you.
For sure. And the phone call, you're able to record phone calls, transcribe them. I want this to come to FaceTime and let me record podcasts with one track each for the FaceTime participants. What's going on, Apple?
Mm-hmm.
We're so close. I mean,
yeah, we've been waiting for them to add APIs to make podcasting easier on iPads and iPhones.
Yeah.
No, we just need the phone app to do it.
Yeah, I'm curious what the recording looks like. It's probably all in one track, I would guess.
Probably.
And you can more easily switch SIM cards, evidently.
Okay. A niche use case, but good.
And then iOS 18 goes back to the iPhone SE second generation and the 10R or newer. So I think I don't know if that's a drop off from last year or not.
I'm not sure. The 10R is a 2018 phone, so that's 6 years back.
Was the iPhone 8 killed off already?
I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious. Like, did we finally kill off the home button here, or was that already dead? I'm double
checking. Yeah, the home button was. Oh no, the SE1 was. No. I take it back. SE second generation is a home button device and is still around.
Okay,
but that's the only one.
So, Matt, live breaking news. I just installed the beta, and I can tint third-party apps whatever color I want.
Oh my god.
It's a wild world. I've got...
It's chaos.
The PS Remote Play app is green right now. Sony will go mad.
Okay.
And,
there you go.
Oh, and there's a button to make it seems to make all of your app icons large versus granularity. So
when they're large, the label goes away too.
Oh, that is kind of nice. I kind of like that.
Huh.
What do you think about that?
I've wanted them to take the label away for a while because I know what my apps are.
Yeah.
I'm going to try the large icons and see what happens.
Yeah, that seems kind of nifty.
Oh, wow. The tint does work.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Huh.
That is answered now.
The tint does work, although the background has to be black, which is a little frustrating.
What do you mean by that?
So the icon portion of the icon will change to whatever tint you have.
Yeah.
But the background of it will always be black.
Oh, I see.
I was wondering if I could do like a white background or a pink background or something like that. Looks like that's not possible. Also, some widgets will break. Looks like
it's a little
tint
buggy
as well.
right now, I must say. I moved one of my pages and all of the icons are the checkerboard.
Yeah, me too.
and I changed it back to the original, and it's keeping the tint. So I tried to change it back to the default automatic, and a lot of them are still tinted. So it is a beta 1. So play around with it at your own peril.
Ooh, also real-time follow-up. I mentioned earlier I was hoping you could live resize the widgets on the home screen. You can. Ooh. They do have little handles, and you can resize them. And they do resize. Even third-party ones will resize.
Oh, that is nice. Oh, I like that. Yeah, this is... Oh, and I'm a maniac. I have a icon just in the middle of nowhere. Oh, this iPhone update will be just a lot of fun to play around with. That's a big rabbit hole just to go down.
Definitely buggy. I will say that.
A little bit. Anything else on iOS in particular?
I think that's it.
Okay.
That's a lot.
It is. tvOS, very briefly. We have Insight for Apple TV content, similar to Amazon's X-Ray, but it's only for Apple TV Plus content. This is like cool, but kind of useless at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if there's an API for other people to implement this in their... Although other companies, you actually go to the other apps, right? Like you're watching a show on Peacock, for example, and you actually get kicked over to the Peacock app. So.
Well, purchasing content in Apple TV, which I've got like 1,000 movies in there, so that would be nice to have for that stuff.
True.
And then, so it seems cool, but I hope they expand to more content. Audio has better enhanced dialogue coming to more speakers and uses machine learning for better quality, which is nice.
Yeah, I think, was that exclusive to HomePods previously?
It was,
and now it can use other speaker systems?
Yeah.
That's good.
And then the subtitles turn on when you rewind and select other times, which, interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, they used to do that because you can say, like, what did they say into the remote, and it would rewind like 10 seconds and temporarily turn on subtitles. So now I think it's just it assumes if you back up 10 seconds,
right,
you want subtitles for that replay.
And then 21:9 projector support. What is this a literal projector? If you hook your Apple TV up to a projector, it supports that aspect ratio?
I guess so. I wasn't exactly sure what they meant by this. Like, was this...
like certain video content? Or, it was a bit of a mystery to me.
Yeah, like if you just have like an ultra-wide like PC monitor, would it work with that? I'm not really sure.
Yeah. And then new portrait screensavers with the time on there. I think that's kind of nice. But the big one in our household, I think, will be the Snoopy screensaver. My daughter loves Snoopy, and I think this may be our go-to screensaver.
Nice. Yeah, their Snoopy integrations continue year after year.
They do. Oh, well, to talk about the watch, they did not announce any watch faces at all. But yeah, very briefly, subtitles will turn on when you mute as well, which is a really smart thing to do.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah. I dig that.
Yeah. Anything else on the home or audio stuff?
No. Happy for him.
Yeah. Got to mention, at least. watchOS 11. Okay. Last year was a big year. We got the big redesign. This year, we got some cool stuff for sure. So training loads, tracks intensity of your workouts, and they have this new app, Vitals app, which Vitals to me seems like we have all this data in the health app that you can see the trends and all that. Let's unify this in a nice, prettier UI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said, if you haven't seen the health app recently, which maybe this app implies that a lot of people haven't, it's not a fun app. It's not one you go to. You probably go to your fitness app more because that's more like fun data. So yeah, I like the kind of proactive notifications it'll send you when something's out of the ordinary. Sounds like it'll give you some ideas what could be going on. Has some stuff with pregnancy tracking that could be useful. I really thought the training load was compelling to give you an idea for like how hard you're pushing. An app called Gentler Streak has something like this. So maybe they're getting minorly Sherlocked, but it kind of lets you see your activity over time and how much you're pushing and whether you're too active or if you're in line with kind of your goals of like where you want to go. So I'm really actually excited to try that out as soon as I can.
Yeah. And then there's, if you're pregnant, cycle tracking includes that data now, which is nice. The big thing I think is rings. You can do it based off the day of the week. So say like Saturday is a bigger day for your workout for you. You can have a bigger goal and you can have pausing. So if you're sick, you can pause so your streak doesn't get broken. This is great.
Yeah, this is good. Unfortunately, I had like 1,000-day or more streak going at one point. Yeah. I was really into it, and then I just kind of gave up. And so now I don't care about streaks anymore.
I had a nice long streak, and it broke, and never got back on that horse.
Yep. So if I miss a day, I miss a day. But yeah, it's if you care about that, like it did totally suck if you got sick
or you're flying.
Or you're not. We're not like machines who do the exact same thing every day. Life happens. Like it's good for them to account for that in your rings.
The Smart Stack now will auto add widgets based on context. So if it's raining, it'll put up like the precipitation thing. It also has smart activities are coming to the watchOS, carrying over from the phone. It's kind of similar idea, I think.
Yep. These widgets, I think, are interactive now.
That's new, right?
Or
Before
you could like tap them to open the app, but I don't think they could do anything.
Yeah,
but
that's
I think
right.
you can interact with them now. So I hope this is good. I hope this makes me. I think the watchOS 10 redesign was controversial.
Yes.
Some people liked it, some people did not. I think the new widgets never really clicked with me, and I feel like I just pulled it up and like tips is the first thing it shows me, then a Guardian article that I don't care about. Like it's not very intelligent with what it puts up there unless I put in the work to like sort it and stuff, and I just don't want to do that on my watch. So having them, we'll see if it works, but if it could show me more useful things by default, that would be a net positive at the very least for me.
For sure. And there's a new translation app, all done locally. Very cool.
Yeah, I wonder is that restricted to just like the newest watches, or is this everything running watchOS 11? I wonder.
That's a good question.
They don't say anything.
They cut off support for the Series 5, so it's Series 6 and later as far as what's supported this time.
Okay, because I remember last year when they announced the Ultra 2 and Series 10 watch, the new
Series
SoC
9.
was Series 9. The new system on a chip was supposed to be like a big breakthrough in performance and allowed Siri to do so much more, and I was wondering if the translation was tied to that. But yeah, it doesn't. If it's limited to anything, it doesn't say it, so
yeah.
That's cool.
And then Double Tap finally coming to third-party developers with API. This might be one of the biggest.
Finally,
come on, Apple.
Like, there's not that third-party apps. There aren't a trillion of them, but like, yeah, Double Tap was definitely kind of half-baked when it came out. So, letting it work in more places is definitely good. Definitely glad to see it.
Yeah, that was a big one. The Photos Faces will use machine learning to find the perfect photo and arrange it properly. I love that because that can be a pain in the butt trying to arrange those.
They make their example ones look really good.
They do.
Now, every one of those photos is better than every photo I've ever taken, so we'll see how it works in real life. But but in theory, it's pretty rad. They've also got this check-in feature for workouts, so you can like. It's basically their check-in feature that they released, I think, last year, where when you start a workout or like while you're in a workout, you can have like check in with somebody, so they'll get a notification once you get home and are done with your workout, which is great for if you're like doing something in treacherous terrain or like out at night. So that one's, I think, a pretty cool thing.
Very nice. Swimming workouts. You can now do custom workouts for the pool. And enhanced GPS positioning. See distance and route maps and more workouts, including rowing your boat. I guess, yeah, there's some better GPS stuff for if you're out in the middle of a lake.
That's good. I didn't know you didn't get GPS for that, but great.
Yeah, not much. It seems like a very quiet year. Like normally they have one watch face. Maybe they'll show off some of those in the fall.
Yeah, that seems to be they're moving towards a fall release. Like you get all the maybe you get one or two in the initial like June announcement, but they tend to hold them for the fall. It seems.
We did not get our custom watch faces.
Never will.
Never will.
I'm giving up hope. I used to hope. Now I don't. You win, Apple.
And that's it. Interactive widgets, as you said, those are a thing.
Nice.
So,
yeah. So I hope those are good. I'm installing that beta as we speak.
Yeah, it'll be nice to be able to like turn my lights on and off with that, stuff like that. And then iPadOS 18. A lot of people had high hopes with the M4 iPad Pro just coming out. Apple even talked about this. Can we get 6 apps in our Stage Manager view? They did not talk. They did not talk about Stage Manager. If it is in there, it would be a surprise to everyone. So personalized. I was surprised. Were you surprised the personalized home screen, control center are actually here? Because that's a shock to me.
I was genuinely delighted when they kept saying and these features are also on the iPad. Like, yeah, those are the exact ones where I was like, we're not waiting another year,
because they always do that. Yeah,
they always do that. Unbelievable.
The Photos app is there as well. The big thing as far as UI is this new floating tab bar that morphs into the sidebar that can be customized. A couple of years back, they talked about a better like bar system, and they've replaced that, it seems, with a different bar system.
Yeah, and didn't they just recently change the, like, on the Apple TV, the TV app used to have tabs at the top.
Yeah.
And now they've took that away.
Yep.
And it's all a sidebar, but now on iPadOS, they have the tabs up top again.
Yeah. So.
A little strange, but.
Little strange. There's a new document browser. It was unclear if this is just for Apple stuff or if there's an API for that. Freeform adds these scenes to be able to present them easier. So you have a big board and you can kind of like draw a scene to like jump around, which is nice.
Yep. So this is them. I don't really understand the Freeform app myself. I'm sure people enjoy it, but yeah, if you're used to using something like Figma for this sort of thing, then you're like, yeah, that's table stakes.
Totally.
But yeah, it's I'm surprised how committed they are to Freeform. It feels like it's getting updates pretty regularly.
Yeah. And the big thing, of course, is we have a calculator by Apple on the iPad.
And you know what? I was ready to be sassy about this. I was ready to be like, oh, it's just a big dumb calculator. And then they do this math notes feature, which looks brilliant.
Oh, man.
Now, I do zero math.
I wish I was in elementary school in high school again. To middle school.
I have no reason to use this. No reason at all to use this, but it looks really rad.
It looks super rad. Yeah. I got to say, this person has a brilliant handwriting, whoever was doing that. Like, I couldn't stand up and be writing that nicely.
Well, they don't need to write that nicely because we have this other new feature.
Yes.
That cleans up your handwriting.
I love this.
As you go, which is really interesting. And they're using machine learning, AI, whatever, to like make it look like your handwriting still, but just straighten out the lines, even out the sizing. Like,
you can copy and paste digital text, like typed out text, into a handwritten note. It'll make it look like your own writing.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, the
it's
like
so cool.
notes / like the this is, I think this is an Apple Notes as well, but like add this to like with the new like shadows that people found like on the Apple Pencil. Like that team is just taking big swings now with crazy little details.
I wonder if this will work in apps like Notability in third-party apps, if there will be an API, or if this is just an Apple Notes thing.
That's a good question. I'm not sure. You'd love to see it though.
You would.
Sorry, it looked like the text was like flowing around images as well. So like they like pasted in text from somewhere else and it pasted in their handwriting, but also did line breaks so it didn't go over the image. Like it looks really, really cool, whatever they're doing.
And yeah, I'm curious to check this out with like my fancy cursive that I still use, and wonder how well it will do with that versus print, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited for this. I will be checking this out. I don't have a whole lot of uses of doing this stuff on the iPad, but I don't know. I might start writing some more. This would be great in the journal app if you could bring the journal to iPad, you know?
No, it's not. You do that on your phone. No reason to do that on an iPad.
Yeah, who would journal on an iPad? That's
now with this incredible writing feature.
But yeah, the math notes is wild. That is on iPhone as well, I saw, but obviously don't have a pencil, so it's not going to be as useful, I think, there.
Okay.
But yeah, the variables and the live updating charts, like all that stuff seems super interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it almost like in a way it almost looks like a like they're competing with what's that app called? The one where you just like it's like a text document but it's doing math.
Oh, I know what you're talking about now. I forget the name of it as well.
Oh, embarrassing. Solver. Soulver. Solver. That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
So not a total Sherlocking, but way more than I thought they were going to do. So
it's pretty full
kudos
featured,
they took, what was it, 17 years to do it, or 14 years to do it, but looks
as
like
I said,
didn't
they had
just
to find a way to bring it uniquely to iPad, and
yeah,
they've done that. Their intro was hilarious, I must say. To this, there was that sound effect playing, and it was gold. So I think that's about it for iPadOS 18. Sadly, a lot of Apple Pencil love. I'm glad the customizability of the home screen control center is all there, game mode's there, so all that stuff's there. But I think a lot of people were hoping for a bit more as far as productivity.
Yeah, I definitely know a lot of people were. I mean, this happens every year.
Every year. But this was
this
was the TikTok year. This was the alternative year where they didn't do anything last year, and we were expecting more this year because of that.
Yeah. And this year, I mean, honestly, I think we're saying like, oh, it's great that iOS or iPadOS got all the iPhone features the same year, which it hasn't always. But like looking through the feature list of updates, this does kind of feel like the most, it's iOS update. Like they changed the name years ago to like kind of distinguish them and say they're not just the same thing. iPad is more, but like it's kind of just the iPhone features this year.
Yeah,
minus
and the pencil,
the pencil stuff. Yeah.
Oh, there's collapsible
yeah.
You can have sections and notes now, which are collapsible, which is neat. That's in.
Of course.
Yeah, that tab bar. I don't know. We'll see how revolutionary that is. But yeah, anything else on iPad?
No. Not the most exciting update, but I'm happy it got all the iPhone things this year, and we don't have to wait.
Yes, for sure. Because that would be frustrating having my theme all set up for my iPhone, and it's like my iPhone.
Yeah, I mean, especially an iPad with all that screen real estate, like being able to move things not just to the top, icons to the top. That's long overdue.
Yeah, I'm curious, like big app icons. I'm sure that mode's in there, and it'll be hilarious on iPad because they're already too big.
True.
And then this update will cut off support of my 10.5-inch iPad Pro. So the list of compatible iPads is actually kind of short. We got the iPad Mini 5th generation and later, the iPad 7th generation and later, iPad Air 3rd generation later, iPad Air M2. That's weird.
Oh, this is very hard to follow.
That is weird, right? I would think the iPad Air 3rd generation later would include the M2 Apple.
It would.
iPad Pro 11-inch 1st generation and later. This is another thing. And then iPad Pro 12.9 3rd generation later, and then iPad Pro M4 because it's a 13-inch now. So they can't.
They're really treating. Mm-hmm. Very strange. I noticed this when the new iPads were released. They kind of did this. They always call it the iPad Pro M4. They don't call it like the newest iPad. They don't call it just iPad Pro. It's always M4. They always call out the processor in these new ones.
So weird.
So I don't know what that means, but yeah, they seem to consider them different products almost in a way.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Will you install? You said you're installing the Watch Beta on your Ultra 2.
Yep.
The iPad, you got your M4. Is that going to the update queue right away?
It's already updated or already downloaded and ready to hit update.
Okay, because I know you're using it for reference.
I'm not going to do it
now. Yeah, because I know you're using it for reference right now. But yeah, I will be updating my 12.9-inch and excited to check all this out. The device I don't think I will touch with the betas is the Mac. I have the MacPad now, my little headless MacBook Air. And I don't think I want to mess with the betas on that thing quite yet.
No, the Mac is always the riskiest. I have so many unexpected things break in macOS betas, and it's the OS where, in my opinion, you tend to notice the least changes as well. Like nothing changes in your day-to-day.
Except for
the most part.
The Mac had the biggest wow moment of the show, I thought.
Ooh, what was that?
iPhone mirroring. This thing looks freaking sweet, man. So you can see and control your locked iPhone that's like on your bedstand still. You can even drag and drop files into your iPhone from your Mac. That feature, that part of it's coming later this year. The main use of it is available, but later this year is the drag and drop files into your iPhone. You can use your iPhone. You can use your Mac's keyboard in your iPhone. You can use your trackpad to swipe and stuff in your iPhone. This is continuity at its finest. This is like just. I wish this was on Apple Vision Pro. Like, I'd love to let me control my iPhone from my Apple Vision Pro, please. Yeah.
It's it's definitely pretty cool, and that is some magic when you think about like what it means to drag a file from your Mac to a screen share of your iPhone, to drop it in there, and then you're transferring the file. Like, there's so much processing, so much networking going on there to make that just feel natural.
And you'll get iPhone notifications on your Mac, right, with your other Mac notifications. And if you tap on, say, a notification from there, it'll just open up iPhone mirroring so you can like work on whatever notification just came in there. That's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, like continuity is the shining feature of the Mac. Like the universal control to the iPad, the sidecar stuff, it's like such a great home base for all your stuff. It's such a shame they don't bring this stuff to iPad. Like, I'd love to use universal control between a second iPad. Like the other day, I had my MacPad open. I had two iPadOSs running between my two iPads. And I could use the same keyboard and trackpad between both iPads. Why can't I do that between an iPad and another iPad? I need this Mac in the mix to do this stuff. It's a damn shame. But yeah. This iPhone thing's so rad. So, anyways, tiling windows, not Stage Manager, but you're able to tile your windows, kind of like how I do already with Magnet on the Mac.
Yep, I use an app called Rectangle, but does the same thing.
Yep.
And they said there's keyboard shortcuts for it as well. So I was a little worried because I like setting up some keyboard shortcuts to do that. And I was like, oh, well, the third-party apps will still have the shortcuts to differentiate themselves, but apparently not. And I'm sure they're in system settings and you can customize them. So I'm excited to use that for sure.
And then there's a presenter preview during video calls. You can so kind of cleaning up your desktop, hiding stuff if you want to. Background replacements, which I thought were already there, but I guess not. So you can have like a fake green screen type thing.
Yeah, that's good. I'm curious how those are going to work with different apps. Like Google Meet does that sort of like sharing only a portion of your screen or only a window. It does that natively, but having it built into the system is good. So you can do it with any app. So not opposed to it at all. And
they introduce, the Passwords app is here. Safari, they introduced these summaries. You can summarize websites. The new Reader has a table of contents, which is great. There's data points, so if there's an address, you can pull up Apple Maps like within Safari, which is awesome because most websites just point me to Google Maps, and I don't like that.
They do. They really do.
Yeah. And then Game Porting Toolkit 2. More Mac games can be ported from Windows. And then you can port Mac games to iPhone and iPad more easily. And Ubisoft was on stage shouting out the praises of Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is also coming to iPad now.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't think they explicitly said, but I assume it's I hope it's a same day release. I know the Mac version is coming out November 15th, I believe, along with the PC. And I thought it was fun that they said on consoles, PC and Mac, and I was like, you don't usually get a PC shout out at Apple WWDC.
Do not. Yeah, this was the one and only third-party presenter, right?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah. And then RoboCop Rogue City is coming to the Mac. Very excited. Well, I'm playing that on PS5
I didn't see
now,
that.
So that's coming.
Nice. Yeah, that's an Unreal Engine 5 game as well. So that's using very modern technology.
Yeah.
And then moving on to Apple Silicon. Yeah. So hopefully it runs well. That's great.
Yeah, it looks mighty fine on my PS5. I don't think I'll be able to try any of these out on my MacBook Air because 256 gigs of storage means most of these games require almost 100 gigs, and just
the
like
AAA games these days, 256 is not enough.
Yeah, the Mac App Store doesn't have a way to install to external drives, to my knowledge.
No. If you can buy it through Steam, but a lot of these games are coming just to the Mac App Store, which is super annoying for people like me.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm excited to try Assassin's Creed on the iPad one of these days, maybe. But yeah, any other Sequoia is the name. I'm surprised we haven't had Sequoia yet, but here we are, Sequoia. Very nice.
Mm-hmm. And they got pretty much all of the same updates that the iPhone and iPad got as well. So they're pretty well aligned this year. I really can't think of a single feature off the top of my head after our conversation so far where only like the iPhone got it.
Right.
At least where it makes sense. Like there's no SOS messaging on the Mac, but that doesn't make any sense there.
Yeah.
That's more of a phone thing. So
and Math Notes is on Mac, but they're implementing it not through handwriting, but you can type out, different variables and things and it'll calculate. That's probably how they're doing it on an iPhone as well, is just more keyboard versus the pencil.
Mm-hmm. And this is actually looking quite a bit like Solver. So now that I'm looking at this, where you're setting variables and doing math on them. And although Solver lets you do like live stock prices and currency conversions. So I assume Notes won't have that yet.
And a part of the APIs are you're able to customize your app icon tinting. So if a developer doesn't like how it's tinting, they can make it better. And we were talking earlier about, maybe Facebook won't do it at all. No, they're opting everyone in, and they're encouraging developers to make it even better, which is kind of an interesting incentive thing.
I'm honestly not mad about it.
No, it's great.
That'll get more people to do something with it.
And there's a new multi-core CPU API. I wonder if that's for Mac in particular, or if other platforms you'll be able to tell it, hey, I want this video encode to use all these different CPUs, or what's that going to do?
Interesting. Yeah. My understanding was a lot of this was kind of abstracted away from developers these days, but
yeah,
if it ekes out more performance for some of that high-end stuff,
sure,
go for it.
Oh, and Apple Pay and third-party browsers on the Mac.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I wrote that down. It was only on a slide, but yes, excellent, good. As a non-Safari user, it really bugs me that I can't do Apple Pay.
It's so nice
the browser
on the Mac,
that I
must
prefer.
say. It's I've done it a couple times. That's nice.
Yep. So very good to see that. That's them opening up their payments a little bit more is always a good thing.
And then let's dive into Apple Intelligence. And a couple notes up front, I guess. It runs on A17 Pro, M1, M2, M3, and M4. That's kind of the hardware requirements for at least the local stuff. And I'm not sure about cloud stuff, if it'll work with other things for that. And iPad, iPhone, and Mac, no Apple Vision Pro, even though there's an M2 chip in that sucker.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a shame.
Yeah. I was really interested in the processor support and the fact that nearly half of their presentation today was about Apple Intelligence. And obviously there's iPad and Mac users watching, but most people are iPhone users.
Yeah.
And most people don't have an iPhone that any of this works on.
Yeah, I'm very glad I encouraged my wife to get the Pro this year. Because that's not always the case. Yeah.
So I do wonder what it's going to be like. And we can't test yet, I guess, because it sounds like all of these are coming in later developer betas, not beta 1. So we can't test them yet. But I am curious what the fallback is for everyone else who doesn't have a 15 Pro. Is it the old Siri that you're used to? Is it the old Siri capabilities with the new Siri UI? I don't know. So lots of questions with this. I think this was a lot to take in, and some things I felt good about, some things I felt I kind of Winstat almost.
Yeah.
The image generation in particular is the one that made me go, oh boy, they added image generation. For whatever
Yes,
reason,
they
that
did.
just gives me a bad vibe these days. Like, especially when like a common insult these days online is like, oh, this is so bad. It looks like AI made it. And like,
Yeah.
they're just letting you generate images in iOS, and I don't know. They look kind of cringy to me, but
Yeah, they had as good of examples as you could muster, I'd say, for the image stuff. And I just checked on my iPhone, old Siri UI still.
yeah. So that's probably it. Is just other iPhones will just have the Siri.
Yeah. And then they mentioned they'll use private cloud compute, basically Apple servers, to do some stuff offline or, in the cloud. And they mentioned ChatGPT. When you use that, I would have to think you're using their servers. It's not ChatGPT living on Apple servers, or am I mistaken?
So how I heard this, and again, with the understanding we started recording minutes after it ended.
Yes.
My understanding of that was it would all happen on device. And for these instances where you had to go out to the cloud, and when they said the cloud, I think what they mean are cloud LLMs, such as ChatGPT, and in the future, I assume Gemini and Claude will be there as well. But I interpreted it as when we need to go out to the cloud for ChatGPT in one of those instances,
Yeah.
in that case, we're going to send only the required data to our servers. Our servers are going to talk to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT isn't going to know anything about you. They're not going to be able to link it to you. That's how I heard it. Kind of like they do, I think, with iCloud Private Relay, where your internet traffic gets routed to Apple servers, and then they actually talk to the websites, and it comes back to you, and
Yeah.
they don't. So I'm thinking it's something like that, but I guess I wouldn't bet my life on that's the exact implementation.
And then, so the first thing they emphasized was they had this whole overview of like so I guess let's dive into Siri first as to how this actually will affect us. So the new Siri API or UI, it just kind of like your borders of your screen glow, and you're able to talk to Siri. It'll remember stuff you just asked it a couple of requests ago. It'll be able to look at stuff on your screen to, act on that. It'll be able to help you fill out forms from like your driver's license info, which seemed like a nice demo of what that can do. Asking about your mom's flight, it'll pull through iMessage and your mail to try to find the right data, and this all seemed very good. It seemed like a huge improvement.
I think so, as long as it works.
Yeah, that's the thing we don't know and can't test yet.
Yeah, so I think it does, like the new UI where it borders your screen and kind of, I think does give because once it's rolled out, the idea is that you can ask it things about what's going on in your screen. So that kind of makes sense. Like, okay, now your phone we're looking at what you're looking at. What do you want to do? And you could ask us about something totally different, or you could ask us about something on this screen. And so I think that UI makes sense. And Siri's UI is a little dusty at this point. It's been pretty much the same for quite a while. So it's good to see a revamp. But yeah, it's really a shame we can't do this yet.
Do you think the Mac will have this thing where it can look at your entire Mac screen and act on stuff? Because that could get wild, right? Like, copy this image I'm looking at in Photos over to this other app I have open right now, and yeah,
I don't know. You would think so, but they really demoed this mostly on
the phone.
That sort of thing, mostly on the iPad and iPhone. Yeah. So I'm not sure how it'll work on the Mac. The Mac is always a little different with a lot of these features.
It is, yeah. I like that you can now double tap the gesture bar on the iPhone to pull up Siri to just type to it.
Yes, yeah. That's definitely an improvement. They added type to Siri a couple years ago at this point, but it's kind of a toggle in the settings app, I think.
Yeah.
And once you I don't always want to type to Siri. I mostly want to talk to it.
No. It's like an accessibility thing, I think, before, right?
Maybe. I think, it might have been.
Yeah.
So letting you toggle between them easily is definitely an improvement. Because like they showed in the AirPods thing, sometimes you don't want to talk. Sometimes you want to use the feature, but you don't want to talk out loud. So definitely happy about that.
And with the death of Apple product manuals shipping with every iPhone, your Siri has now become the best product manual and database asker of any question you have about your iPhone and how to use it. So that's the thing now.
Yeah, that could be useful. I mean, that could be like for us, it's probably not that useful.
I should ask Siri,
are pretty locked in.
How can I record a FaceTime call on my iPad to edit it later for a podcast? I'm sorry, Hal. I can't do that.
Yeah, is it going to hallucinate? I am curious what the hallucinations will look like. Because it's going to. Like, the way these work, it's not going to be perfect. So I'm curious. I'm curious how it's going to go wrong, even if it gets it right most of the time.
Yeah. Anything else about Siri in particular? What do you think about this new icon? We're gone with the old icon I kind of liked with this new kind of weird looking thing.
It's like an infinity symbol, I think.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Pink or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I think they changed the color scheme to indicate, I think, a break from kind of the old and kind of show the new. I think the old Siri icon was pretty iconic, but yeah, I'd say I'm neutral.
Okay, the old Siri little thing,
waveform
icon
sort of thing.
Yeah, it'll live on in all my podcast artwork because it's the border of iPad Pros and Vision Pros as the little waveform audio thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Writing. This, I think, showed one of the most interesting promises, I think. And one of the things is proofreading. I think Grammarly must be terribly frightened that they're going to go out of business with this being free and built in. That you can improve grammar, word choices, sentence structure. You can rewrite as well to change the tone, different variations to the same thing that you wrote. This is system-wide. Any text box that uses standard text input will use with this. Seems all pretty great.
Yeah, this I think is definitely going to be a win. These are some of the things that I think are really useful with LLMs today, where you just say, here's some text I'm writing. Can you help me in whatever way?
Yeah.
So the proofreading one I think is really, really good. I like that they showed a UI on that as well that had it kind of like underlined the suggested changes and explained why it was making those changes. And so that was good. When you're using something like ChatGPT to do this, it's hard to compare what it did. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to see like, well, what did you change? And it's just like, here's a big block of text you should use. So I like that. When it did some of the other ones, like the key points or summary, I don't think it showed you your text and like the new text side by side for you to like see the differences. But this is not available yet. It's still coming. So I assume this will change some before it's actually released.
Yeah. And you can have it write it as a poem. Very gimmicky.
Yeah, that honestly sounds very early 2023. What are we going to do with these ChatGPTs?
Yeah. But this is all local, which is cool.
So, yeah.
Nothing they announced for Apple Intelligence cost any money whatsoever. The only thing they mentioned is if you want more powerful ChatGPT features, you can log in with your account and do so, but there will be free ChatGPT features, and all of Apple Intelligence seems to be completely free of charge. So
not a charge for anything. I do wonder how that's going to work with the ChatGPT, because on the one hand, they're doing the thing where they're routing your ChatGPT request to their servers so they can anonymize the requests, but also they need to identify you as like a premium subscriber to ChatGPT. So how do they do that?
I'd imagine for those users, it might behave differently.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, and then they've got these. Speaking of summaries, they're also doing some summaries of your notifications. So if a bunch of notifications come in, instead of just showing like the last message as the preview, it'll show you like a one sentence, here's what they've been talking about in like the group thread or whatever app is sending notifications.
I would love a summary for some of my group threads that says, nothing the hell happened, you don't need to read this. Because sometimes that's the case. They're just, sending a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah. I really liked the one, this is so dumb. The thing that I got maybe the most excited about was in the Mail app. Yeah. Instead of showing you the first line of the email, which is rarely helpful because normally it's hello, Matt, for me. Now it will summarize in like 5 words what the email is about. That one I'm way into. Super excited about that one, actually.
Yeah, that seemed great because, as you said, that's useless most of the time. And if you open an email, you can just hit a summarize button to summarize a big long email, which can be handy depending on the email. Priority messages, so like if something pretty important is coming up, you can just hopefully that'll surface good stuff.
Yeah, maybe important. I dig that. Like, hey, this one you're in Do Not Disturb, but actually maybe you want to see this.
Yeah.
I do kind of like that idea. Like with messages, you can do that. I think there's a way to like notify immediately anyway in the Messages app. If someone's in Do Not Disturb, you can like push it through. But I'm not aware of any other apps that can do that. So yeah, having the system choose for you, I think is probably better than letting any app push through Do Not Disturb.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's a cool one as well. Because I often want to be on Do Not Disturb, but do tell me about certain things still.
And there's a reduce interruptions mode as well. So some stuff can get through in that mode. And yeah, this all seems very smart. Like the text stuff, I think, is probably my favorite stuff that they're doing with.
I don't have any real beef with the text stuff.
Yeah.
The images stuff is very weird to me.
What do you think about the name Genmoji? Generated emoji.
I think we'll never speak of it after this event.
So I was impressed that you can use these in Tapback. You can use these as stickers as expected, or in line in messages where does it behave as just a regular emoji in that case if you're talking with iPhone people?
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm very curious on that, but love that you can use Genmoji with Tapbacks.
Yeah, like are they saved? Like if I make a Genmoji of you doing something silly and then I send it to you, can I like send that to you again in a month when it's relevant again, or do I have to like ask Apple Intelligence to make it again?
Yeah, I don't know. That
like we'll save it like maybe it'll save it like stickers. Like that's I guess what I would hope.
Right. And then there's the Image Playground, which acts as both an app. It's an API and is already in apps. Well, will be in apps like Keynote Pages, Freeform, and Messages. You basically it's basically like a recipe where you have these different components that you build out these images with, and there's 3 different looks of what these can be, animation, all that. This is where you can have all sorts of fun, all done locally.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes. They also added the cleanup feature, like the circle to erase feature that Google added about a year ago.
Oh, in the Photos app, yeah.
In the Photos app, yeah. So if it's remove things from the background of photos. I did notice on one of I think they showed a screenshot at one point of someone sharing one of these generated images in Messages, and in the bottom corner there was like a little like AI star symbol, like tagged on it. It looked like it wasn't part of the image; it was like part of the metadata. So I'm assuming they're doing some tagging here to like identify that these were generated with AI features, which is good. Would be very annoyed if they weren't doing that, but. I'm hoping that the photos do that as well, to some extent, to show like this was manipulated with one of these AI features. Although that's a whole can of worms as well, of at what point is an image made with AI and at what point is it just touch-ups of a little thing. Like on the Threads app, they are using metadata to determine whether a photo was made with AI or not. And I used Lightroom to smart, like remove just a speck of dust on my wall for a photo, and it marked the photo as made with AI. And I was like, it's not really. But so that's a whole thing we're dealing with. What a weird world.
The one thing I think could be fun to play around with Image Playground with would be podcast episode artwork, which I don't do anything with now. That could be fun, but all these recipe components, I think I'd rather ask Siri. Can I ask Siri? I think I can. You could do that custom stuff where you can type in words, like making hot. And I want the podcast artwork size to be big enough, so I wonder if you can set aspect ratios and stuff with the stuff. But it'd be fun, like make an episode artwork with OmniFocus and iPads, and that could be interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. It all comes down, I guess, to how good it is at these, and then how people react to them.
Yes. And then they're doing Image Wand, which seems to integrate directly with Pencil Kit to do a rough sketch, and it'll transform your rough sketch into something that looks halfway decent. You can even circle an empty space with the Image Wand, and it'll pull data from that Apple Note to make an image relevant, which that seems pretty nifty. And I love that's just part of Pencil Kit.
Yeah. I'm once again struggling a little bit to find the use case, but maybe it's useful.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I can draw stick figures, but I can't draw people, so maybe I can sketch something up that I can turn into something.
Yeah, but like, when would you do that? When? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I become a person that does for movies, you do the little sketches of what you want each frame to be. I can sketch
You're gonna storyboard.
Yeah, I can storyboard it out with probably not,
maybe.
But maybe. Photos, you can do natural language search as well, and you can search within videos for stuff, which the video search thing seems pretty nifty. And you can make memory movies using natural language, which that could be cool.
Yeah,
potentially.
That's good. That's the sort of like these AI generative things that I think are much less controversial and useful.
Yeah,
for
like
people.
I could say make a memory movie of my daughter opening presents over the past 5 years. That could be nifty.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's so not just Christmas, but birthdays and whatever.
Or make a video of my daughter giggling. It pulls up all these things of it can recognize giggling maybe, and that could be fun. So we'll see how good that stuff is. The Notes app can record and transcribe audio with a summary, same as the phone app. I wonder if there'll be an API for developers to do this transcribing thing, because there is an API now to do that, but it's slow and probably not as good as what this will be.
Yeah. Yeah, there's apps that do that, but they're paid because they need to use a third-party service that costs money, or they're using like WhisperSync, which is done locally, but also requires you to download like a 1 gigabyte file and process it, and then you can start doing transcription. So, yeah, something native would be great.
Yeah, and ChatGPT, really briefly, what do you think about this implementation where it's like in the past Siri was like, I can't do this, I'll go to the web for you. It basically sounds like you can ask Siri whatever you want, and if it realizes I'm not smart enough for this, then it'll ask, hey, do you want to use ChatGPT for this, and does it more inline versus throwing you into Safari, the web search.
Yeah, I think it's probably good on the whole. I would, thinking about this just a little bit away from the keynote, I would, for me, I think they're defaulting to like not doing it unless you opt in every single time. So like you'll ask a question, Siri can't answer, so it's going to say, I need to ask ChatGPT. Is that okay? And you have to manually do it. I would almost want to say, if you can't answer, ask ChatGPT.
Always.
Just don't ask me. Just like, let me wait half a second longer for you to start giving me the answer.
Yeah.
I guess this is probably one of those places where Apple might be a little conservative in not knowing that like ChatGPT gives bad answers sometimes, and they may not necessarily want you to be just talking to your phone, not looking at it, not seeing the warning that, hey, we're going out to ChatGPT. This might be inaccurate. Be careful. And just you hear a response and you think, oh, that's accurate.
Yes.
And then you blame Apple if it's wrong or whatever. So we'll see. But I think it's good for them not to have Siri fail at so many things or like have to kick you out to the web. So I think it's good. I think ideally they'd probably want to do this themselves and not have to involve a third party. But if you're going to partner with one person first, ChatGPT makes sense to be the one. And they implied pretty strongly that Gemini at the very least was coming at a later date. And so it sounds like you'll be able to choose what your fallback option is eventually.
Yeah. I hope we get the stuff in the beta sooner rather than later, some of this stuff, because Siri is still the old Siri, sadly.
Yeah.
But yeah, they said US English later this summer. The way they worded that in the keynote sounded like it was coming to iOS 17 or something. Like,
yeah, the initial wording made me think it was coming in the developer beta today and a public beta at some point. But yeah, if you think about how different Siri is, there's no way they were going to backport that to
no
iOS 17.
Nope.
And again, just for iPhone 15 Pros.
Yep. And as far as developers can integrate with Image Playground, the writing tools, Siri with SiriKit, app intents were greatly extended for more stuff, and Xcode as on-device completion and smart assistance. So, yeah, Xcode. It's got some updates. Very nifty.
Yeah. The Developer State of the Union will probably show some cool stuff there.
Yeah, when's that startup? Is that going on now?
It's probably going on as we're speaking.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the keynote. It was about an hour and 45 minutes long or so, and
shorter than I was expecting.
Went at a quick pace, I thought.
Yeah.
And you're installing the beta on your Apple Vision Pro, your Apple Watch, your iPhone, and your iPad, and the Mac is the only one that's not getting the beta. Is that right?
That is true. Although once the intelligence feature rolls out, the Mac might be doomed as well.
Any closing thoughts? Any just general sentiments? You think Apple nailed it, or?
I think it's a WWDC that I'm maybe the least confident giving my overall opinion on immediately afterwards in a long time.
Because of the AI stuff?
Because of that, yeah.
Yeah.
So they felt like smaller updates for all the platforms than normal. But then they have this other big thing.
The phone felt like the biggest one with the tinting and the lock screen or control center. But the watch felt tiny. iPad tiny. The iPad got the iOS stuff, thankfully. visionOS.
Yeah. But like they got through those quicker than I thought they would.
Yeah.
And so it really all depends on how impactful these intelligence features are, that I think will determine how good this was, but I don't know yet. So yeah, I don't feel at all prepared to say this was a 4-star or a 2-star or a 5-star WWDC. It was a we'll wait and see in a way that I'm not used to. Like usually I can tell like right away, oh, this is good. These were great features. I don't know this time.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting summer. See as these betas roll out. But yeah, I'm very excited to try out visionOS 2. I think I should be patient and wait till July, but I might see.
You should, but you won't.
You know me so well. I mean,
oh yeah.
Yeah, I might ask around and see what people are thinking of the beta once they install it, see if it's a complete mess or not.
And then you're going to say, I got to see for myself. I'm going to install it.
It's true. It is where I edit the podcast, so that's like my production machine these days. So
that's true. That's why I'm nervous about the Mac as well.
Right. I'm probably one of the few people in the world where the Vision Pro is my main production machine.
Well, that's why you got the show. That's why you got this podcast.
Well, Matt, thank you for your time today. This is an extensive podcast, as we like to do sometimes.
Yes, maybe an all-time longest for us.
I
even.
think so, because most of the time there's less in-depth stuff, and I wanted to cover visionOS so deeply because this is Vision Pros. So I think we spent 45 minutes just on visionOS too, which...
Yeah, we did an entire podcast on visionOS only.
We did, yes. So where can people follow you online? And you've got an awesome new podcast to listen and subscribe to as well.
Yeah, I've got a new podcast. Just one episode is out as we're recording this. It's called Comfort Zone. It's a show on the Mac Stories podcast network. And yeah, it's with my friends Chris Lawley and Neelion. And we talk about tech stuff that takes us outside our comfort zone and makes us just try new things and get out of our technological ruts. So it's lots of fun, very good vibes on the show, and you should check it out. Hopefully Tim can put a link in the description there for us.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's definitely the place to find me right now.
Very cool. And you are next up with giving the challenges. I'm very curious what you'll be challenging next time.
It'll be something announced this week will have to be the challenge. It'll be something WWDC related.
I love it. Well, very cool. Thank you, Matt, for your time today. And yeah, check out the podcast and catch up on all your videos before you start up for the next season in the fall or whenever that starts up again.
Yeah. I also do YouTube, A Better Computer, and on a break now. So check out the podcast if you want.
Yes, check out the podcast. That's the thing to check out. Cool. Well, thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime.
Well, that's my discussion with Matt all about WWDC 2024. My thanks to Matt for his time recording. My thanks to you for your time and attention tuning in. As a reminder, you can support this podcast by going out and downloading Agenda 19 today on all of your Apple devices and giving Agenda a try. It's the app that I use to organize and plan out all of my episodes across both iPad Pros and Vision Pros. My thanks again to Agenda for sponsoring this episode. Learn more at www.agenda.com. Get early access to both iPad Pros and Vision Pros by subscribing to either the Patreon at visionpros.fm/Patreon or by subscribing in Apple Podcasts. With that, I'll talk to everyone again real soon.